Go.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. Welcome to the co-op number 80. Of course, I'm your host today, Richard Bailey, editor-in-chief here at thecoalition.com. And we have our guest. We're going to start off with the usual. We have Gary Swaby.
Hey, what's good? Glad to be back on episode 80. This is going to be a good show. Great topics, great people. Let's go.
Yes. We also have Charles Singletary.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be back. Hopefully, I am going to continue to be a staple here every week because I got to defend. Got to defend my land, so these clowns don't take over.
That's right. That's right.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Defend you? What?
Hey! Hurt dog bark. You see who spoke up?
Ooh.
No, that's a genuine inquiry. When you say your land, like you mean America or like I don't know what you mean.
Hey, for the regular viewers, they'll understand. For the new people, you will learn today.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Wow.
All right. We also have our returning guest, Michael A. How's it going, Mike?
It's going all right, man. Still a little confused by what Charles just said, but you know, I live in the world of the sane, so insanity is not supposed to make sense to me. Other than that, yeah, just looking forward to the topics we got on hand. Just a lot of stuff going down in gaming, so I want to hear, especially when I hear what you guys been thinking. And the podcasts on here, as of late, have been quality. So you know, I've been listening to them all. You guys are doing work, so it's good to hear.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that. And last but certainly not least, we have our guest today, Austin Conway. How's it going, Austin?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me back, guys.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Oh, no. That's cool. Yeah, we're looking forward to a good show as well. Now, for those that are wondering, you know, Ed is not here today, and JJ is not here. They're both working. But be sure to leave your comments. And if you want them on this show regularly, leave your comments so that maybe they'll be able to show up the next time. Okay? Here we go. So, first and foremost, before we jump into the topics, I would like to ask everybody what they've been playing. I guess if you want to go first, Gary?
Yeah, well, like we're going to discuss today, there's a bit of a drought at the moment, so I've been playing a lot of old stuff. What was that? Did he actually?
No, he didn't say nothing. He said continue.
Yeah, so I've been playing Dragon Age Origins again because I bought the first two games on PC, so I want to replay both games so that I have a save file that I can carry over to Inquisition once I get that game. So I played that, and I remembered how great it was. I think it's like hands down one of the best RPG games of last generation, and I would actually put it up there with the first Mass Effect. Like it might actually be better from a storyline perspective.
How dare you? How dare you?
Now the writing in that game.
I agree.
We're not even 10 minutes in.
Oh,
This is
both of you
boring.
right now. Both of you are just absolutely blasphemous. How dare both of you? You know what? No, you know what? No. No.
You have to
I'm
understand.
gonna calm down. No, it's okay. I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna calm down. It's all right.
The writing in that game is like no other, man. Like it's so deep. You have to. Did you play the game? Did you beat the game?
Wait, the first Dragon Age you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
It
how do you
wasn't
feel
Mass
about
Effect
it?
1 great, but yeah.
What makes you think that like Mass Effect is better? Like,
I mean, Mass Effect, like the characters are like, there's just more characters that you relate to and care about. The cosmos, for an obvious reason, it's much larger, and you feel more drawn into it. You feel more of a drive to explore. There's far more exploration there. In terms of the story, I would say, you know what, just plot alone, maybe I'd give the edge to Dragon Age, but not even by much. Just purely on plot. Dragon Age's plot was there's more to it than you got in Mass Effect and just in Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect, you have to play the second game. You have to play up to the second game to get the same amount of the plot that you would have probably gotten just playing Dragon Age 1. We don't count Dragon Age 2. That never happened. So Yeah, I'll give you maybe just the plot, but as a game overall, no, that's blasphemous.
I mean, let me be clear. Like the gameplay in Mass Effect 1 clearly, beats Dragon Age gameplay.
Yes, it's not even fair.
Yeah, it's not.
I think that's kind of they're incomparable. Dragon Age is not a third person.
Very different games on that level.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand that obviously Dragon Age is not a third-person shooter, but I mean, just like the reason Mass Effect 1 to me is the best one is just because of the fact that it was literally equal part shooter for the combat, but it was equal part RPG. So there were classes where you didn't even have to really rely on shooting. You could play Mass Effect and just rely on the power and whatnot that you have, and
True.
you could make it almost feel like just a genuine RPG. That's what Mass Effect kind of lost. That's why 2 and especially 3 were just not as good to me. They were just shallow shooters because they were missing that RPG element.
Yeah, and the first one, your gameplays could be so different on the combat level, but in 2 and 3, it was the same thing with a few extra abilities every time.
Yep.
So I hear you on that.
I definitely think the critic in me would say even Mass Effect 1 wasn't much of a shooter, but I liked its. There was a sense of developed jank almost that you're going to be a better sniper based off your skills, based off the numbers, not I guess really based off the numbers and not on your skills. And I thought it had a charm to the gameplay the first time around. I think 2 and 3 they definitely tried to streamline things, and you can get through I think 2 and 3 really just relying on traditional third-person shooter skills that you may or may not have.
Yeah, I barely used many abilities, and if any at all in the third one. I used more in the second one, but the third one I just run and gun the entire time, and I wasn't good.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say something about Mass Effect and Dragon Age, but go ahead, sir.
No, all I was going to say was that like not only did I just do the run and gun, there was nothing that really enticed me into doing more than that. That's all I was going to say.
Well, let me say this, and I don't know if Gary agrees or not, because I am on the side of the fence who thinks Dragon Age overall better game than the first Mass Effect. I don't have a sordid history of playing BioWare games, but for me, I made that connection back in 03, played Knights of the Old Republic, and I loved it. Just loved it. And for me, Dragon Age, more so than Mass Effect, and they're both first installments in a new IP, Dragon Age feels like it opened up a door to a bigger world, and I think a lot of that's because we probably see less in Dragon Age in terms of locations that are irrelevant to the plot. There's a lot of planets in Mass Effect where you're just picking up maybe, you're playing what's the game where you pretty much have to coordinate the color buttons with the timing? It's
there's a lot of like how you have to unlock, the downed rovers you found on planets, whatnot, to get the mineral resources and stuff out of it. I got you, yeah.
I think there was maybe like an Asari pyramid on one of them. I mean, it was good in its own regard, but I think, and something I think that carried over from KOTOR better in Dragon Age than it did Mass Effect was the illusion of something greater. And I like the fact that you can kind of do one side quest in Dragon Age and it has its little codex entry and you don't know what the hell's going on, but something greater is probably at work. I never got that sense in Mass Effect, really, in hindsight. So I agree with Gary. I'm a little bit more of more of a Dragon Age fan, and I love Mass Effect 1, but I probably love Dragon Age a little bit more.
Yeah, and I wish I could say that Dragon Age was a better trilogy than Mass Effect, but we can't say that because they messed up royally.
I mean, yeah,
you know what though?
Better trilogy.
Two is a piece of crap, but if 3 is phenomenal, then it can still be argued because I still didn't. I didn't like Mass Effect 3.
No, I mean, it won't even be an argument. If Dragon Age 3 comes out in its quality, then it's a better trilogy. Because two, honestly, Mass Effect 2 got saved by the DLC. The DLC for Mass Effect 2 was amazing.
2 was fun. The story, I mean, even without the DLC, the story was still a lot of fun.
I mean, no, I mean the story was great in 2, but the gameplay to me, like when I didn't like how they changed they changed it from a charge base where you have to wait for your weapons to recharge or
ammunition.
Calm down to ammunition. I'm like, what is this? I didn't know I was playing Gears of fucking War. I thought I was playing Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Not even just regular Gears of War, Gears of fucking War. That's
Yeah, Gears of fucking War. Yeah, I was like, what is this? I want to play Mass Effect. Like, where is all like, why aren't I having to grind to increase my abilities? Why can't I just play this like Call of Duty and do well? Like, I didn't like that.
And Mass Effect, I have to criticize more because they screwed up on the last one, like the
Yeah, I agree.
the end of the trilogy. Like that's not where you screw up. You learn from your mistakes.
And that's
And
why
you
I'm telling
fix
people
them.
I don't have faith for Mass Effect 4. I really don't.
I don't know, like that is the rhetoric that I've seen used probably most throughout the internet, save for the last 20 minutes. And I even saw what they were doing with the ending of Mass Effect 3, but there were some, spoiler alert, some great moments in Mass Effect 3 that I think stand as tall as any other great moment in the series when you look at the other entries. I thought, Morden's End, I loved fighting on Palaven with Garrus.
I mean, no, you're right on that. I agree with you on that. They were, and that's part of the reason. That's part of what bothered me with 3 was that there were great moments, and then it's like that ending was just like, why would you why? It almost feels like they just didn't have time.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like Morden's thing was probably the most memorable for me, but my problem was the payoff for everything that you did in the first and the second really had no effect on what happened
at the end of the game.
End of the third one. Like there was no
way the third
payoff.
game ended. It was just going to end that way regardless of what you did.
Exactly, in a game that made you focus so much on where your character came from, the decisions that you made, who was alive, who was dead. Even with the PS3 version, you had to go through that beginning sequence because you didn't play the first to kind of craft that history for your character. But in the third one, it doesn't matter at all.
No.
And that's what made it frustrating.
I think I was most bitter coming out of it. It boils down to the idea that, and once again, I stress, for those who haven't played it, go play it, stop listening, come back later. But I think what upsets me the most was it was a complete defeat of my intentions. I wanted the Geth and the what are the other Quarians? I wanted the Geth and the Quarians to walk away. I wanted them to be in a situation that I kind of like left them when I did that quest at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But the 3 choices at the end, I couldn't. I'm gonna be. I don't know what you guys did. I couldn't not destroy the Reapers. Anderson couldn't have died for nothing. I had to. They had to go. I wasn't gonna accept some creepy, Unity where everything turns out okay and we all get green glowing eyes in the future, and I couldn't just take over the Reapers. I had to destroy. And the idea that means I had to take Edie and the Geth down with me, that's probably what I didn't like the most about it.
I agree with that. And part of my problem with that ending was, like, I didn't, and this is just Mass Effect 3, period. I didn't want Mass Effect 3 to end that Mass Effect arc. I wanted it to be the end of the Shepard arc. But I wanted, to me, the idea that the Reapers could be beaten, it was pretty much hammered into you in 1, and especially 2, that the Reapers couldn't be beaten. They predated everyone. They know everything. They've been around since the beginning of everything, pretty much.
But there can't be the God, baby.
And that to me, I'm like, there shouldn't be a way I can beat them. There should only be a way that I can stave off the immediate threat to me for the time being and pass it on to maybe another hero or heroes to deal with. That's what they could have done with Mass Effect.
It could have been the next trilogy could have been us dealing with the Reapers, and they've adapted because of what you did as Shepard.
And that's what I thought they were going to do with the series. Like, I was imagining, okay, Mass Effect 4, 500, 600 years in the future. It doesn't even have to be an offspring of Shepard. It could be an offspring of another character that we meet that we've met in the series. They're taking up the fight, and they're going to meet new characters to fight the Reapers, and then they have to go back to look at a lot of the interactions that Shepard and his crew had with the Reapers and how they beat them, and they have to come up with new ways of beating them because the Reapers themselves have evolved. Like, that's a huge wasted opportunity there from them. Yep. For them to just end it how they did in 3, it's kind of like, okay, they don't want to make another Mass Effect. But then you announce Mass Effect 4, I'm like, well, would you make up your fucking mind? Because I don't really know what you're doing here. You keep building up this great cosmos, you build these great characters, you build this great plot, then you shit all over it yourself and then throw it away, and then you want me to go back to it again? Like, I don't understand.
Oh, that sound real intense there.
Oh, I was the biggest Mass Effect fan. I'm a Mass Effect fanboy. I'll come out and say it. Mass Effect 1 to me, I mean, I understand. I was one of those people that I can tell you what the flaws of Mass Effect 1 were, because there's lots of them, obviously, because it's an older game now.
But it's still one of the best games ever made.
But it's still one of the best games. And like when I play it, it's like, no, those flaws are so far trumped by what the game does right that they don't even matter. And to see what happened to see what they did to that series, and by they I mean EA, to see what EA did to that series in 2 games, like Mass Effect was supposed to be like a new, like, you know how there's always a new IP that comes along and just becomes something huge. Like Final Fantasy started somewhere, Dragon Quest started somewhere. Like these games all started somewhere, and they've gained fans, they've gained esteem, they've moved along. Mass Effect was supposed to be that game, and then EA came into the picture, and now it's never gonna be that game anymore. Like that's just not gonna happen.
They reduced it into just one of the cookie cutter AAA titles that we're probably gonna talk about a little bit later on.
Yeah. And right there, let me stop that right there for a second, because I wanted to ask Gary, is that all you've been playing?
Pretty much. I played a lot of that. I played some Final Fantasy 14, but that's about it. So we'll move on to someone else.
Okay, so one thing, real fast, because I know y'all want to get to these topics. I know the listeners want to get to these topics. So just tell me real quick what y'all been playing. Whoever wants to go next.
I'll go ahead and throw in. All I've been playing is Grid Autosport. I'm about to start playing Final Fantasy 14 again, even though I'm kind of sad that they didn't announce a big expansion at E3 like I was expecting. But I'm still going to get back into it. But that's honest. Oh, and Last of Us Online, which I say every time. But yeah, that's all I've been doing.
All right. Austin and Michael A.
Go ahead, Austin.
Not much, really. I've played some Titanfall, and I'm looking to pick up Valiant Hearts when I get the chance. So nothing much.
I might.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. I might. Is it out? Is it out now, right?
Yeah.
It's out.
I might go ahead and cop that. I'm going to get that tonight.
Me, all I've really been playing, Street Fighter 4 Ultra. I finally got it just because a friend got it for me, because I didn't want to buy it just because my character sucks in it, and my character sucks in it. So I've just been playing it anyway. DJ. Yeah, he's complete crap in this version. Like, I mean, he was already bad, and they made him worse. I don't understand Capcom and all, but yeah. Other than that, I've been playing Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei on my 3DS, and that's it.
Well, I can explain the Capcom thing. Just wait for Ultra Mega Mix 2 or something, and he'll probably be fixing that. Because you got to pay the full price.
I swear to God, if there's another update for the game.
It will be another.
Yo, seriously though, Michael A., what would you do though if after Ultra comes out, they announce a next-gen version of the same?
Okay, right there. If they announce that there's going to be a version of Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox One and PS4, so it's like Ultra 2015 edition, I am done with Capcom. I wash my hands with them. I won't
Super
buy
Street Fighter Ultra Magnificent.
That announcement soon.
No, because that can't be that. That would be stupid. There's no way they can get away with doing that. Like this update wasn't even good. They messed up so much in this game, and then
they're gonna get away with doing that because, like, you saw I don't know if you did, but you saw the trailer for the DLC for Dead Rising and how it made fun of the things that Capcom does with the Ultra and all that. People laugh at it, but they're gonna buy it.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Oh hell yeah, I'm buying that. What you talking about? Of course
No,
I'm
not
buying.
the Dead Rising thing is fine, but like
That's
buying
worth
the new version of Street Fighter, I'm like, no, man. These updates should be free.
Like
I won't go that far. They're giving new characters. You can charge for the characters, I guess, but the changes, like the balancing, that shouldn't. Like, why am I paying you to fix mistakes you made on a product that I've already paid you for?
Like when Marvel vs. Capcom came out, I forgot about the Capcom involvement for it, and I bought the first version. And then Ultimate came out, and I was just
Ultimate. Like 6 months later, buy Ultimate, and it was like $40. I was like, wow, talk about slapping people in the face.
Yeah, that was
Good God.
6 months later, man. That's crazy.
Well, last but certainly not least, all I've been playing is Guacamelee, Super Turbo Championship Edition. Same game, fun game. That's pretty much it because, of course, there are no games coming out yet. Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead to the first topic. Since we already touched on BioWare, let's get into this whole thing about Dragon Age Inquisition. Apparently, BioWare made an announcement earlier this week that they have a gay character in the game that will be a part of your, I guess, your team. Now, I want to ask a question because I know a lot of people had a negative reaction to this news. Why is this such a big deal? Perhaps you could start off this discussion, Gary.
Yeah. I'm confused. Like, I mean, I don't even know what the big deal is. I don't know. Like, are people in favor of it or are they against it? Like, I don't really understand what's going on. But I mean, it's not like it's the first time we've had gay characters in Dragon Age, so I don't know, why this is so controversial. I think the main thing is because in the previous games, if there was a gay character, I think they swing both ways. So I think like if your character was a female, they'd still go for you as well. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that, but I think the reason why this one is such a big deal is because he is fully gay, so he will only get with a male character if you choose to be a male character. So I think that's why it's such a big deal. But still, I don't see why this whole like I don't see why your sexual preference is such a big deal in gaming in the first place. Like I just want to play my games, and just like in real life, I take the characters on face value. Like I judge them by their actions and some of their beliefs or whatever. But like as far as their sexuality and stuff like that, all that stuff shouldn't matter at the end of the day. So I'm not really too sure what all the fuss is about. What do you guys think?
I think that it definitely shouldn't matter. I agree with you. Just even since before we started recording this, I've been thinking about it a little bit more. And I think the issue is that these companies feel that they need to announce these types of characters before the game comes out. And just like the Far Cry situation, they didn't necessarily drop the cover and announce the character was gay. They played their little chess game, letting people believe what they wanted, confirming it, not confirming it, and letting it build up steam and using it as a marketing thing. But games like Last of Us, they didn't know it until they played the game. Until they played the DLC. Like no one had a clue. It was like, oh, well, she was gay. Cool, whatever, move on. Like the Dragon Age thing, let it happen, let them find out in the game, and it'd be some people are gonna like it, some people aren't. But this whole thing before the game even comes out is unnecessary, in my opinion.
See, the thing is as well, like I understand that because some of the actual writers on Dragon Age are gay, and I think like it only starts to become a problem if they're intentionally trying to throw the fact that these characters are gay in our face like constantly. Like I know there was Michael A mentioned this earlier. There was an issue in Dragon Age 2 where the characters would the male characters would constantly hit on you without you even trying to lead in that direction. Whereas in Dragon Age Origins, you could sway the conversation that way if you wanted to. Like you had a choice. But in Dragon Age 2, they kind of like forced it upon you. So I think if it's handled like that, then I see why some people might feel a bit touchy about it. But in general, if it's handled the right way, I mean I don't see the big deal about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me personally, like I like Charles just said, like if I had bought the game, I'm playing it, and there's a gay character in it, I wouldn't care. Like I wouldn't think anything of it. I would have just played the game. It wouldn't have been an issue. I think to me the reason first off I see this as a PR stunt. It's like, oh, look how progressive we are. Look how liberal we are. We're doing with all the people on Tumblr and all those outcasts on the internet complain about. Look, we're making a gay character, and it's like, well, I don't really see that as like how is that improving your game? Like how is that going to make the game better? I'm not saying it's going to make it worse, but like you haven't explained to me how that's going to impact the plot or how that's going to improve gameplay. Because if those two things aren't up to snuff, I'm not going to care whether or not your character's gay. And if they are up to snuff, if they're great, every character in the game could be gay. I wouldn't care either way. Like, I just want the game to be good. And I think it's sad that we're at a point in time where, like, that's the era we live in now. Where, like, when you look on gaming sites or whatnot, or even just people talking about games, the discussion is everything except whether or not the game is good, whether or not the game is fun, whether or not the game does anything new. It's just, oh, look at these graphics. Oh, this game has this kind of character in it that's black or not black. This character isn't straight. There's too many white straight men in gaming, and it's like, well, they make most of the games, and there are white straight men in the world. Why is that bad? I'm not saying that they should all be that way. I'm not white, so obviously, I guess seeing a black guy in a game would be cool. But at the same point in time, I'm not gonna buy a game just because there's a black person in it. Did anyone go buy 50 Cent Blood in the Sand in here? Probably not.
Yeah, I did.
Are
The
you?
hell is that game?
Come on, Gary. For the love of God, you did not buy 50 Cent Blood in the Sand.
I bought that game twice, man, on each system.
Come on,
Do
man.
you realize who you're talking to?
No. I don't know. No. You did
Gary
not
is
buy.
the front runner for 50 Cent's street team. Like, just like he is the billboard, the walking billboard for 50 Cent.
Well, do you
So I'm
really
not
understand
surprised.
That game was not good, Gary.
That game was fun. Like, if you're a
Okay, I can't do this.
Oh.
I can't. I can't do that. No, I'll leave Gary on that one. I guess I was
that
wrong
game
on that.
had like 5 albums on there, man.
That doesn't make it a good game, Gary. That just makes it a collection CD. As a CD, it's probably superb. As a video game, no. And that's my point. Like, I'm not, me personally, I don't really care about that kind of stuff when I'm thinking about the game. Like, one of my favorite games on PS3 was Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword, you play as a woman in it. I didn't really think about that because the gameplay was dope, the story was dope, and the game wasn't, and like it wasn't like she was a girl just for the sake of being a girl character. Like, her being a female impacted the story in a positive fashion. And it worked. It worked very well. It was one of the best games on the PS3, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's a very underrated game right there.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great title.
Great.
What were you saying, Austin?
I said I love it. It is a great title. Andy Serkis all the way.
So, I mean, to me, like, I mean, I'm not gonna not buy the game because there's a gay character in it. I don't care. I just don't like that they're like. I know what they're doing with this.
I think what it is. Well, with the people that the company we don't have to see that, but I believe that there are people that won't buy a game for those reasons. But I want these companies to realize that they don't need to appease to them or appeal to them all the time and like just pander to them all the time. Because if you don't announce these things before the game, just let the game come out and let them find out. However, then let it be that. If they have an issue, they send you a letter. They flame you on Twitter or whatever forum, and let it happen. Say whatever your piece is, and move on.
I think, and I'll say this in EA's defense. EA has been really good when it comes to really kind of not only employee equality, but they have always definitely wanted to treat their universes with that sense of, I guess, really trying to inspire that notion that everybody is equal. I remember when I think the Old Republic introduced gay and lesbian characters. I remember that was something that they supported when maybe it was Westboro or some fanatic.
Westboro's Baptist Church, yeah.
Yeah, some fanatic organization attacked them, and EA stood behind it. Good in that regard. Good on them for sticking to standing up for what they believe in. I don't know. I think it's something you got to be careful with because it is a thin line when it comes to, I guess for the sake of the conversation, I'll say representing minority characters, because if you stray one way too much, it becomes pandering. You're playing to that stereotype.
Yeah.
But if you stray towards the other way, it's literally, this character really wasn't much of this to begin with. Why even bring it up? I don't know. We all played Mass Effect 3, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think I bring up Mass Effect 3 because if a character's gay or not, I think that's fine and that's interesting. But the relation with the character should not be hinged on that element. Steve Cortez was a bro in Mass Effect 3. I love Steve Cortez, but I couldn't but help feel like So if you want to comfort him as a friend, it always feels like it's trying to push you towards a romantic involvement, and that just you guys know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with Caden. You know, Caden's voiced by the guy who did Karth back in Knights of the Old Republic, but apparently you can turn Caden into a love interest. I don't want to turn Caden into a love interest. He's an old friend. You know, it's. I hate the fact that you have to play to these extremes in regards of apathy or romantic involvement when you just want to be. When you just want to be. When you want to be developing a relationship that is completely platonic in nature.
That's true.
I hate that. Like, if it doesn't have any kind of effect on the narrative, then I don't care about it. That's my opinion on it. Sure.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's and they BioWare. I mean, to credit, maybe it's a larger conversation, but credit to BioWare because in the past they have done very good things with how they represent essentially non-white characters. I don't know. Did you guys ever play Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jolie Bendo is not only the black Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'd say I like Jolie Bendo more than Obi-Wan Kenobi. and he never made a big deal, you know, he wasn't a caricature and he wasn't a stereotype, but I'd say to this day he's still one of my favorite black characters. And Juhani is, you know, I think the same article that was talking about Dorian, I think, being gay mentioned Juhani back in KOTOR. That's a character that you had to really develop a relationship, and you had to be female. That's a character you had to develop a relationship as a female to get to the point that at the end of the game you found out, yeah, she was a lesbian, but she didn't wear it on her sleeve. And my fear is when they announce whether a character is gay or not, well, when they announce if a character is gay, they tend to make the sexual preference a focus. When I think it's kind of inappropriate to focus on that when we're trying to kill the Reapers or stop the Archdemon, because it's irrelevant.
Exactly, yeah.
When it's not being fully explored within the context of just the character.
Exactly.
Yeah, because now you're going to have, like, prejudgments of that character going into the game and stuff.
Yep.
And it's better to just discover who that character is, like, when you begin playing it, like Charles said. So,
yeah.
I just don't like gaming has become this way for people to just push political agendas and viewpoints and to make statements on. It's like you can't just have a game be a game. It's like, oh, this game's coming out. Here are the facts about it. Here are the features in it. Here you can see gameplay. And instead of people saying, okay, let me get this game and try, it's like, okay, so how many women are in the game? It's like, well, why does that matter? Like, we're trying to show you the game. Like, why are you already looking for something to complain about instead of just playing the game? Like, I just don't get it. Like, it would be better. Like, we would be better off if people just wanted to play games for the purpose of being entertained or having fun. I understand wanting to see someone that's somewhat like you in gaming. I can respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, if you're going to judge a game because it doesn't have someone like you, like, I don't see the logic. Like, I don't see the logic in telling people that like imagine how, like, if you're a white guy and you see a game that has a black guy as a main character, like when CJ was in San Andreas for GTA, for example. Like, were there white people that complained about that? Well, okay. Probably, yeah.
I remember.
But did that stop San Andreas from selling an astronomical amount of games when it came out? Oh no, that game did extremely well, and to this day, it's still regarded by many people as the best GTA game we've played. So it's like they got over it. Those people that complained got over it. They didn't care because the game itself was good. The character being black wasn't something they did as a gimmick to lure people in or to meet some quota or to seem progressive. They made him black because it impacted the story. It wouldn't make sense for CJ to be white in that part of California during the 90s. It just wouldn't have made any sense. So that's why they went that route. I'd rather see games that handle diversity do it that way. If you want to make a gay character, fine, make a gay character. But make a gay character in a story somehow where the story is improved or impacted by him being gay. Don't make him gay in a story where it has absolutely nothing to do with that. And then to top it all off, before the game even comes out, you're announcing to the world that this person's gay. Why?
I mean,
what does that have to do with Dragon Age?
Oh.
It's almost like it's been prefaced as some sort of, You know, because I do have some gay friends who are fans of Dragon Age, but it's almost prefaced like it is some sort of, I don't think they'd play or not play the game based off that decision. I think that is irrelevant to them. But it's almost like it's stressed as if it's some type of handicap as well. You know, oh, this character's gay. Well, you know, we all played The Last of Us, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not even talking about the DLC. I'm talking about the core game. Bill was a badass, and we didn't find out it was a great subtle way to kind of stress that, you know, he had a partner and he had, I think, a male porno mag in his van, and that was the only confirmation about his sexual preference. We looked at it and we moved on, and you know, there was something about it didn't define him as a character, and I can respect Naughty Dog for doing that because they wanted to include, I guess, that type of aspect of character. They did it, and then we moved on to the rest of the game. They didn't feel the need to announce it ahead of time.
Exactly. Yep. Excellent example.
Yeah, that's a very great example.
Well, all I have to say is I pretty much agree with everything that you guys said. I mean, I think that it should be about the game first and foremost. I don't really care what the sexual orientation is, character, none of that stuff. I just want you to give me a good game that I can enjoy playing. Plain and simple.
Yep.
So hopefully this little controversy can be put to rest. But you know it won't, because it's always something.
It won't be. In fact, I mean, if you know how this this controversy is not going to go away. When we were watching E3, and the biggest news from E3 was the fact that Assassin's Creed, with as great as that gameplay looked, as great as the graphics looked, all the new features and all that, the fact that you couldn't play as a female was the biggest news story.
And also the fact that a woman was a hostage.
Oh yeah. Oh, and then there's a woman. Let's ignore the fact that there was a woman playing the game with the fellas, right? That doesn't matter. We're mad because the hostage you're saving is female. It's if there's numerous choices of gender that you could make the hostage. There's only two choices. She's either male or female. She can't be like a third gender that's like alien or something. And there's not even comfort. Like, how do you know there aren't going to be other hostages that are also male? Nope. We're going to focus on that. Ignore all the elements of gameplay that are showed. That's the biggest news from E3.
Yeah.
If that's where gaming is, sorry, this stuff is just going to keep happening. It's only going to get worse.
I guess that was a way to distract them from the fact that they're not sticking with the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
It's controversy, you know.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that, because I thought I was the only one. Because that was the first thing that came to my mind after. I was like, okay, Siege, is that a gameplay mode? Where's Patriots? First thing that came out of my mouth. But no one was nobody else was talking about that. They were all talking about the fact that there was a female hostage. I'm like, what happened to Patriots? Like, the game is completely scrapped? Like, go into further depth on that. Yeah. But, I mean, why talk about things that are actually relevant to gaming when we could talk about issues that have nothing to do with gaming?
Yeah. It's accurate. Well, let's move on to the next topic, shall we? I don't know if you want to take this topic over, Gary, because you can give a better intro for this.
Okay, so basically, Shuhei Yoshida, he recently did an interview, and he expressed his concern that the majority of gamers, they just want to buy and play military shooters and AAA titles with big budgets and everything, and they kind of overlook indie games and, you know, more creative games like Child of Light and The Order 1886. I think he used as an example as well,
which is crazy to me.
Stuff like that. So
I don't know why Order is included in that particular.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how Order is.
Yeah.
I mean, what is Order? It's a shooter. I don't understand
like
why.
The Order wants to be one of those cookie cutter games. With a little bit of difference.
It's not you know, it's not highly creative or indie, but you know, it's different from your Call of Duty and Battlefield. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Okay, like, yeah, it's not a military. Well, actually, it is a military because you're in the military. What the hell?
I also think the Order's going to try to do things differently. They've really hindered they've really relied heavily on the fact that, you know, we're cinematic shooter. We're going to keep it all on the controller. We're interesting quick time events. But hey, the Order is almost a different conversation entirely. We can always talk about the Order.
Yeah.
Like I guess it would kind of be offering a fresh take on the third. Well, not necessarily a fresh take, but it would refreshen the third person shooter genre. Because my understanding, I thought they were supposed to focus on story a good bit too.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're gonna focus on story so they can stretch it out so it's more than one game. Um,
The
yeah,
writer of John Adams, I think.
what?
So I think they hired the Hollywood guy who worked on John Adams to write the script.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, it has to be more than one game. It can't be just one game.
So
Um,
the big question this raises though is like, do you guys agree with his statement, and do you guys feel like a lot of gamers these days don't step outside the box and try new games, like they just play the same thing over and over, buy the
Absolutely,
same
yes. Everything he said is 100% true. It's not a coincidence that I understand that all generations have a genre trend they go through. Like on the SNES, Genesis, what you call it, generation, it was clearly RPGs that were big. In fact, even afterward, it was kind of RPGs. And then starting with like the PS2, Dreamcast era shooters, mainly when the Xbox came along, let's just call it what it is, shooters starting to get big, and then kept getting big. But I mean, we're on the Xbox One and PS4 and Wii U now, and outside of Nintendo, the big games that are coming out all involve shooting someone. It's like, why are we still only playing games where people shoot people? Why is Call of Duty, the game that everyone complains about and the game that everyone hates, still the best-selling game out right now? Like, nobody wants to play games that do anything else. Like, we don't, game developers don't want to take risks, and it's not just because they don't have other ideas for games. It's because people aren't buying these other games that come out that do something different. So yeah, I agree 100% with him. And honestly, I don't see that trend changing anytime soon. Because when you look at the biggest games that are coming out now, they all involve shooting someone. Even
oh,
Sunset Overdrive, as much fun as I'm a fan of that game, and it looks cool. It has a lot of other elements, but you're
oh,
still shooting people in it.
Yeah,
So I'm
but that
like,
was definitely a lot more creative in what it's doing. Like I think he meant specifically like the Call of Duties, the Medal of Honors, the Battlefields, the military shooting type.
oh,
I mean, no, yeah, I understood that, but I was just taking it a step further. Like,
Okay.
why is it that all the biggest games pretty much involve shooting someone in some way, shape, or form? All the other games aren't really like RPGs are still coming out, but no one's really talking about them. They've been pretty much relegated to being handheld only games, and even then, like, what's the next big RPG outside of Dragon Age and like I guess The Witcher? What else is there? Like,
oh.
what's the next big JRPG that's coming out on both consoles?
Yeah.
Kingdom
Fort
Hearts.
15.
Final Fantasy 15.
So Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts, I think, which was announced at E3 last year, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That game
Yeah.
ain't coming out until 2020. So
So
yeah,
it's and that's it. Meanwhile, how many shooters have we heard of announced and have been released in that time span?
I agree. I agree. Like the RPG genre has been sorely lacking, and I hate it because
And
that's where my gaming began. Really, that's
I don't. I don't. It's. I think you got to. I think you do have to step back and for a second look at the fact that Western RPGs and JRPGs have largely splintered. Yeah, there aren't a lot of JRPGs, but you get a game like Skyrim that sold 20 million copies,
Yeah,
and I'm sure Fallout won't, do that bad either. I think there's still a huge market. I think at the end of the day, the biggest games aren't necessarily the shooters. I think they're the sandbox titles. Grand Theft Auto made what, $1 billion in how many
yeah.
days?
Grand Theft Auto set records. Like, it made more than movies. So
And then you've
I'll
got a
give
game
you.
like Red Dead, which more or less, Red Dead Redemption was kind of a rebooted IP, and that just, I think people love the sandbox.
Right.
I think that's why you look. I think when you look at the indie market, the biggest selling sandbox game of all time is Minecraft. I don't know. I don't know if it's a little disingenuous. I think it might be a little bit disingenuous to say that that's the only thing people want. I think you've seen an indie explosion in the last couple of years, and I think if you step back and you look at the fact that Journey is the biggest, greatest selling PSN title of all time, I don't know if it's a completely factual statement to say that only military shooters sell.
Don't you think that like a large part of the reason the indie scene is blowing up now is because people want creativity, they want diversity in their games, and AAA games aren't offering that to them?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I saw. That's what I took it at. When I look at a lot of these indie games, it's like it's not even. It's you don't have. It's like you left with no choice but to say like to ignore the graphics and stuff like that. You look at the gameplay, and it's you're doing something different, or it's an homage to older games in a new light. That's something
Yeah.
you're not seeing in AAA games.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I
Because
think
even
this,
in the sandbox games on console, like the GTA's, the Red Dead, like I mean they're sandbox games, but what is the main thing? Like you're still killing people, you're still shooting people in those games.
And yeah, true. But I actually like Minecraft, and I appreciate that so many people embraced it. Like, it's not necessarily for me because I don't have the patience for it, but it was a less violent alternative.
Yes.
Yeah, and it encouraged people to create things and to be creative. So I appreciated that, and I'm glad that it picked up the way it is. Because like, if you before that game came out, if somebody would have pitched that to you, you know that you would have thought like that's not going to sell very well. There's going to be like a handful of people that play that. It's not going to be a big thing. It's going to be on the back corners and shadows of the web or whatever console that it's on. But the fact that it's this big is pretty impressive to me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think this particular comment is really directed to early adapters who are complaining about droughts. And I would always respond with, you know what you're getting into, because you're not going to you're not going to buy a game at launch and expect to have a 7-year lineup like the previous gen. So I think that this particular comment.
Well, yeah,
Shoot.
that makes sense. Makes sense. I just was gonna say, what you guys touched on about the indie scene blowing up. This is exactly how you can say a lot of indie stuff is better than the mainstream. This applies to music and movies as well, because
Yeah.
I've seen stuff. I go see a film, the story is trash, and then I see an indie movie, and the indie movie is excellent. So yeah, this is true for gaming too. You was talking about RPGs. Yeah, I mean, the Banner Saga, a game that came out earlier this year. I tell everybody they need to play that game because that game was fun. Made by an indie studio. The guys who actually worked at BioWare started their own studio. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of indie titles out there worth playing.
Wait, what was that game? I haven't played the game you just said, Rich. My fault.
Oh no, it's called the Banner Saga by Stoic.
Um,
I'll look into that.
Great art in the Banner.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Excellent art style. Excellent.
Wasn't Banner Saga a Kickstarter project?
Yes, it
Was
was.
it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
How did I not hear that? All right, cool. I'll definitely
I
look
think
into that.
the people who worked on it, they were from BioWare before or something, right?
Yes, and BioWare developers, three of them made their own studio, and they came up with that game, and it's an excellent game. Got a lot of attention as it deserved. So,
A game that I've seen get a lot of buzz recently, also an RPG that's on PC, is Divinity. I don't know the entire name, but I know David Jagno reviewed it, and I've seen a lot of like the indie developers tweeting about it because it was a Kickstarter program project as well. And I mean, maybe Kickstarter is going to be what ends up helping the genres that we miss, because we're getting people that feel the same way that we do, and all they need is the financial support so we can go and support them and get these games that we want at this point, instead of depending on the AAA titles. Because like the Call of Duties and stuff, you got to think, yeah, it sucks that they're so big, but a lot of the people that play them weren't gamers really before that, because there was a time where like gamers were kind of seen as a taboo thing, or gaming was seen as a waste of time and a taboo, and they attracted all of these people in with the Call of Duties and stuff. And like, yeah, it sucks that those guys are what people think of when they think of gamers, but I don't know, maybe it's a necessary evil at this point because they make so much money off of it.
I don't see it that I have no problem with Call of Duty making as much money as it does, or any of those military shooters. My issue is that like people don't seem to want more than just that. Like I want those games. I want Call of Duty to sell. I want all games of the quality, because I mean I understand how much work it takes to make a video game. Like people are really quick to just downplay this. Like no, these dudes work really hard. Like they go without seeing their families a lot of times. Crunch is ridiculous in the programming world. Like you're sleeping at your desk for days. So I understand what that's like. So I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, I wish Call of Duty didn't sell well. I'm not bothered by the fact that Call of Duty sells well. I'm bothered by the fact that there's all these people that are calling themselves gamers now because it's cool to do that. But then when you ask them what games they're playing, it's like they only play these. It's not even that they play all AAA. It's only like shooters, like from AAA games. And I'm like,
Yeah.
try something else. I'm not saying don't play Call of Duty.
Yeah,
I'm saying
but
more to gaming than that.
and I
Well,
hear you. Go ahead.
I
Also.
think I was just gonna say I think the problem with that is I'm not a huge fan of the term myself gamer, but because I think it's a little too broad. But I think
I agree.
well, I think the problem with telling somebody they're not a real gamer if they play X games, it's a little exclusion. I can't say that.
It's a little
I'm sorry,
elitist or exclusionary. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
exclusionary. Yeah, I think in regards to, you might be significantly more diverse than them, but you never want to get in arguments of worth. I'm not. My tastes aren't more valid just because I play 20 titles a year to year two. So I don't know if that's the best talking point to have.
No, but see, my point wasn't so much worth, because I'm not saying that the people who only play Call of Duty or not. In fact, I was defending them. What I'm saying is that I would like I don't know, maybe it's on other people who play video games, maybe it's on gaming journal, it's on journalistic outlets or whatnot. But I would like to see people trying other games, like the people who play Like if I meet someone and all they play is Call of Duty, I don't think less of them as a gamer. What I think is, okay,
Expect more from your game.
yeah, I want them to expect more from the games they're playing. I want them to try other games or whatnot. I want them to. I'll even ask them and try and figure out why. Because I know some people who were like Charles said, they weren't really gamers beforehand. They only play Call of Duty. Like some of my friends only play Madden and FIFA. That's all they play. They don't play any other video games. They're not really into that stuff. So when I talk to them and ask them why, they were like, oh, well, no one's ever really introduced me to those things. I like sports games because I like sports. So I introduce them to other games and they try them out. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what's the bridge that we would use to get these people to play other games? Because until that happens, what the guy, what's his name, just said is true. Like, you're just going to keep seeing military shooters take over MPDs, and that's it.
Yeah,
well, I do think people are. Oh, sorry, Gary.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I kind of get the feeling like that he was saying that because he wants to make more creative games. He wants Sony to produce more creative games, but the majority of people are just gonna buy the shooters anyway. So they have to keep making kill zones, and they have to keep trying to recreate like first-person shooters and stuff like that, because that's what's gonna sell at the end of the day. So that's what I think he was trying to say here, but he didn't come outright and say it fully.
You gotta remember something else too. You gotta remember that a lot of people putting big budgets behind these games, so they're gonna go for a safe bet rather than take a risk.
Risky. Yep. It costs a lot to make video games, especially for AAA titles. It costs a lot of money, and that's why I'm saying, like, the only way we're gonna get this out of AAA companies as well, because honestly, I don't see Kickstarter as a consistently. I don't see Kickstarter as something that can carry the gaming world. You can't. It's just there's not enough. Like there's too even now it's starting to get to the point where there's too many games coming out that need Kickstarter backing. A lot of people don't have the funds to throw at all these different Kickstarters. So a lot of these Kickstarters are for games that are of note, of quality, that aren't being made. Or sometimes companies will make a game and they'll only make it for one or two systems because that's all they can really afford. And it's like, if you were with the AAA company, this wouldn't happen. That's why it's kind of important. We need AAA companies to start embracing diversity. We need them to start taking risks, but they're not going to do that until gamers themselves uphold their part in that by venturing out from buying the same established IPs. Maybe try a new IP, or maybe try IP from a different genre that you might not have played before, but your friends are playing.
Well, I think it's completely a case of a company investing and expecting huge turnarounds. I think if Ubisoft drops, we know they got 1,000 people working on Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah.
They drop, I assume, 8 figures. No, obviously more than 8. Excuse me.
Yeah, way
Like
more.
I assume maybe 100 million is being spent on an Assassin's Creed.
Hmm.
And that baffles me because I think to label everything as AAA is a little too whimsical. Because you look at something like, you guys know how much the Uncharted cost to develop?
No, how much?
It was in the $20 million era.
Wow.
And you look at the fact that Rockstar drops hundreds of millions of dollars on their game, and you can have I think Uncharted 2 cost maybe $27 million to develop. I'm just taken aback at that. I assume The Last of Us was a little bit more expensive. But I just think, I also find that people are just automatically dismissive of indie, and I think that's because the indie term is misused.
It is.
People talk about
Very true.
People talk about Journey being indie. Journey is not an indie game.
No, it's not.
It might have been made by an indie company, but it was published by Sony with big money. And you look at the fact that Oddworld, Lauren Lanning just recently said in an interview, I think a month or two back, he said, I couldn't put a game like that on Kickstarter because that's $1 or $2 million tops. I think out of pocket, it's costing him $5 to $6 million that he's paying out of pocket to fund a new Oddworld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you compare that to an indie game like Kentucky Route Zero, which is being made by a handful of people with probably 1/16 of the budget.
Yeah.
I think the term indie is far too broad. People talk about the AA title being dead. I don't think it's dead. I think it's still here. We just call it different. We included it in that.
Everything not AAA is indie at this point. That's like I'm not saying that that's what I'm saying. That's kind of the perception.
That's the mentality a lot of people have. And I agree. I mean, because when you think about what indie or like to me, like people attach AAA to games individually, and that's kind of weird to me. I understand why they do it, and it does apply in some cases. But for me, when I'm talking AAA, I'm talking about developers / publishers of AAA, and I say that because they either have the manpower or they have the finances to pump into a game already. Whereas an indie company, they usually don't have those two things. They don't have as many people working with them because they don't have the funding to pay for them. They don't have the money to pay for marketing. They don't have the money to pay for the production of even the discs and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of Kickstarter, or they pull the resources that they have, or even some companies, real talk, some of these companies go out and take loans to handle a lot of this stuff on their own. So it's like those companies for the most part.
That's what No Man's Sky developers did.
No Man's Sky.
Microsoft
was going to offer them money, and they were like, "No, we got this. We'll do this on our own." Took out a loan, and that's why they were able to decide. They were able to decide they have complete control over their game. Like if you have Microsoft was publishing your game, for the most part, that's not really an indie game. Unless they claim afterward to publish the game. Like if Microsoft's publishing your game before you've even sat down to write code, sorry, you're not an indie game anymore. Yeah. But for some reason, it's still like people don't take that into account. They're like, oh, this game looks 16-bit, it's indie. It's like, no, that's not what indie is at all. There's an indie game. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that you kind of hit it on the head with 16-bit. I think that's kind of the mindset. I think people are so dismissive. I got a friend of mine who won't play them because they're indie, and I think indie has unfortunately been synonymous with cheap.
Yeah.
And it's a shame it's like that, but I think the term indie just we need to take that back and rework it completely.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I agree. All said made some great points. Let's move on to the next topic, since this is a very popular topic, something that happens very often. So I'm going to ask the question, when will the yearly summer gaming drought end? Because I'm pretty sure all of you are aware that October is like 20 plus games coming out. Every single week is multiple games dropping. So I'm curious what you guys think of this trend, because this has been going on for quite some time, where the summertime just completely gets left for nothing, and then we get a whole bunch of releases towards the fall. So I'm curious what you guys think about this trend. Will it end, and which games do you think are going to suffer the most because they're getting pushed into that busy October schedule?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I kind of like the drought because for me, I call it backlog season. It's the time where I can catch up on, old games or games I haven't beat yet and stuff like that with no pressure. But then, as you stated, once you head into like September, October, games are so many games are coming out back to back that you don't even have time to really play them all and enjoy them all at once. Like, because you're either going to focus on one game or and try play the other ones later, or it's just that there's never enough time to just play all of them, and you might end up just playing something like Call of Duty or a sports game just because your friends are going to be always going to be on that, and it's just easier to pick up and play. So yeah, I mean, once you get into that September season, that's when things start to get a bit crazy, and yeah, some of these games probably could have came out, during the summer to kind of make things a bit easier, you know, later in the year.
Yeah, I appreciate the summer like drought. I hate that it's called that, but I guess for the bigger titles, that's what it is. But I appreciate it this year more than anything because I took it as a chance to look into games that I normally wouldn't play or normally wouldn't follow. Um, like I've been telling you guys, I spent a lot of money on the Steam sale, getting a bunch of
Mhm.
the lesser known games like Pixel Piracy and Terraria and stuff like that, which Terraria is now kind of a big thing on the consoles. And a couple of these games will be coming to the PS4 and to the Xbox One eventually. But I didn't even know that some of these games existed before they got announced at E3. Like I could play them right now on PC. So I'm taking the time to research those, get more interested in to get more invested in those types of titles, and of course play my backlog because I am playing Nino Kuni, which is like super old, and like the old. I'm still playing some PS2 RPGs, honestly, and playing some stuff like that. But I think that gives you time, or the Call of Duty people. Maybe one of them will get bored during the summer and be like, hey, what is this game, or what are these games, or try some of these free PlayStation Plus games that they're getting, or the Xbox One Gold things that they're getting, and actually become more interested in things like that. Maybe that could help in the long run.
I think summer has become the realm of betas and digital releases, and I think that's why you see something like it's really going to end with Destiny, which is like second week of September. That's when I think things are going to pick up. But we've got another Destiny beta rolling up. They released Valiant Hearts. They're releasing the one I'm looking forward to, which is Odd Worlds, new and tasty, in about 2 weeks. I think it's for the digital market. I think that's what kind of summer's been taking over. Buy, unless Naughty Dog decides to always kind of do those summer releases like they did with The Last of Us. If they want to carry that forward, who knows? But it'd be nice. But I think summer's kind of become that digital play zone.
Do you
Be
think
it
it's a
beta.
bad thing?
No, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's a shame because I'd argue the summer's when people have mostly have more money in the summer. They've got those summer jobs if you're a student, unless you're taking a lot of vacations. I think if you were to release a big AAA title in the dead of summer, either June or July, I think it would sell well. I think it'd sell very well with that little competition. But I mean, it's the two strike system because you've had these early adapters disappointed with this drought, and then you've got the summer drought on top of that. And I think that is what is making people pay more attention to it this time around than they probably ever have, or at least in a long time.
I agree.
Yeah, I do agree as well. Although I will say, like I said, if you was to just look at what's coming out in October, that some of these games, they're not going to sell well because it's a crowded time for them to come out. I mean, well, I'm not going to use this example. Well, no, let me go ahead and use it. We all know, for those of us that have played NBA Live, you already know that game ain't touching NBA 2K15. So just for them to come out the same time, I think, oh, they must have a death wish. But yeah, they do. But I mean, take for example, and we had this discussion before, I believe. You take for example October 7th in particular. You got Dragon Age coming out with Drive Club, Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, Alien Isolation, and of course, again, NBA 2K and NBA Live. You know damn well all them games ain't selling well if they're coming out at this particular time. So, I don't know. I think some stuff could have been spread out a little bit better.
Yeah, I think Shadow of Mordor, that should have been a summer game, man, because next to Dragon Age Inquisition, like, come on now, you're going to lose that fight.
Well,
Man, you need to calm that down.
I don't know. I don't see the point of having, like, from a financial standpoint, a lot of these games that come out during the holiday season are pretty much committing suicide. You're going up against these big A games that sell well just because of lineage. Like, why do you want to come out during the same time as them? I understand people spend a lot of money during the holiday season, for Christmas and whatnot, and on Black Friday, but like, that doesn't. Them buying games on Black Friday doesn't really benefit you because for the most part they're buying those games cheaper. So what you would want to do is come out in the summertime when A, kids don't have school, so they're at home more often. B, older kids have jobs, like Austin said earlier. And C, like, even, like, I mean, everyone just has more time. And what are they doing with that time, really? For most people, it's too hot to just be outside all the time. They stay inside and game. So it's like, that's something they could be doing. And instead, you want to start coming out in the fall and then into the winter. Like, I don't know. I would try and pace. Like, I also take it as, like, a time thing. Like, games need more time to balance things and, you know, make the game quality. So I guess they figure at the end of the year gives them more time than coming out at the beginning of a year. But still, I don't know. It's always been kind of silly to me. And then the few games that do come out during the summer, those games do extremely well. Like, you come out in the spring and the summer, those games do extremely well. Like Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3. Didn't that come out in May? I believe. May, June. That game did it just sold like it sold like drugs during the summer. Like, that's all people were buying was Metal Gear Solid. So it's like, how do you not see that and think, maybe we should put a game out June, July or something like that. Maybe we shouldn't just have nothing come out and then in October have 15 games coming out every day of the week. Makes no sense. People aren't buying all these games. But I mean, I think that's just part of the gaming tradition. It's an old habit. And especially as people are moving to embracing digital distribution for games, I think we're going to start. I think you're going to stop seeing that. I think within 5 years, you'll see more people buy. You'll see games better spaced out in terms of release date.
Well, it began. You guys, probably have noticed up until a couple years ago, we never had anything in the first quarter. We never had anything in January, February, and March. And it really began, I think, in 2010. You had Mass Effect in January this year, or 2015. The rumor is we're going to get Batman in January. You've got those summer titles, those fall titles have filled up to the brim. They've started to spill over, and we're getting them all on the latter side. We're not getting any close. Rarely do they move up titles. I think it would benefit them, but it's done a great job of spreading things out to winter. Summer's still bare. I think spring's always had some great releases. Fall's obviously the big one, but it is good to see, at least in regards to the early part of the year, we're getting The Witcher, The Order, maybe Arkham. It's good to see AAA being spread 3/4 the way through. So I mean, we will hopefully see it in summer, but that's to be determined.
Oh no, I agree, and I have to say something. I know this is going to be a little controversial, but I have to say it. I just cannot contain myself. One game that definitely could have been pushed up. Battlefield Hardline. Yes.
Okay, never mind. Okay, that's not the game.
The same game. Battlefield 4 expansion. That shit could have came out before October. But that's just my.
I thought he was gonna say Drive Club, because honestly, for Sony, that game should have came out. That game should be coming out in August. No later than August should Drive Club be coming out. Technically, it should be out already. But to me, having Drive Club come out on that day with all those other games, why?
That's pretty dumb.
Why?
That's
I don't
pretty
understand
dumb.
that. If Drive Club comes out in August, I promise you, everyone on PS4 will be playing that game.
Yes.
Because they would have no choice.
I was just about to say that.
They would have no choice. Everyone would be playing Drive Club. You would get tons of money. And yet you wanted to come out with when the games are finally going to start to roll on your system, like you wanted to compete with, like, nah, bro, like that's not going to happen. Especially since racing games as a whole are already a niche genre. So, yeah, I don't know. Like,
but
Battlefield, I don't have any thoughts on Hard. I try to defend that game, and I just can't. Like, I have no thoughts on it. Like, I know I'm not looking forward to getting it. Like, I just don't care. It could be good. I don't know, but I don't care. I still waiting for them to fix Battlefield 4.
Well, that's who knows? That will never get fixed. I heard it was fixed the last time I checked, but yeah,
it improved, but they still have some. I mean, it's better, but I mean, it's far from like stable.
No, you're right though. Absolutely correct. But as for Drive Club, yeah, Sony fans will have something to play in August because that infamous DLC is coming out. So they'll have something that'll hold them over for maybe about a day or two, and then they're gonna want something else. But yeah, it's good.
What's the release date for the what's the release date for The Last of Us? The Rob U edition.
Oh yeah, that's coming out at the end of this month, and that will be the best-selling game.
There you go. That's a summer game for you right there.
Yeah, yeah.
The Last of Us, the Rob U edition, and get your gameplay all like that's amazing to me. That's smart. The 1 year anniversary, damn near.
Well, it would have been smarter if it came out in the exact time that the 1 year anniversary did come out, which was June. But I mean, as I have already said, I'm still getting that game, even though I've played the other one. But even I will say, yes, some people have played this game, so it's not really like a new experience that I can look forward to for the summer. It's going to be something to play, but yeah, some of these other games could have got pushed back, I would say, to come out this summer. But whatever. They all want to throw themselves into the fire, so we'll see who emerges. But I can tell you right now, I know a lot of these games ain't going to do well for that reason.
Are they still planning to do the whole Drive Club PlayStation Plus edition that comes out a little bit before and then the full retail release? Because if they do it that way, then the full retail probably won't have much of a bearing on its sales if people are already playing it and upgrade.
Doesn't it all come out at the same time?
See, I don't know, because I know originally the plan was to have the PlayStation Plus version and then a full version come out.
Honestly, do we even have full faith that the game's ever coming out? Let's just go ahead and put that on the table.
Why are we questioning that right now?
I'm just saying, you're talking about multiple versions. This game isn't even out yet, and it was supposed to be out already. Like, I mean, how often do we have to deal with that? There's still a 10% chance that game is not coming out this year.
It's going to come out.
All right, and we're going to get a release date for The Last Guardian as well.
Oh, yeah, no, it has to come out.
I think we will see something about The Last Guardian before the year's over.
I pray you're right, because if not, I'm not getting a PlayStation 4. I bought a PS3 for The Last Guardian, and I never got that game. I'm still salty about that.
Well, hold on. I mean, if you bought a PS3 for The Last Guardian, which was announced in 2009, you're already 3 years into the lifespan. I have no sympathy for you, good sir. There was no.
No. But they announced it as a PS3 game, so I got to defend them on that.
They announced it.
They announced it as
a PS3 game in 2009.
But it was still announced as a game. Like, it still was like, hey, this is coming out on the system. Buy the system because this game is going to be on it. A few years later, hey, my bad.
That's not even on that system. You gotta remember, people knew it was coming even before then because the people who made it was like, oh, game coming from the Shadow of Colossus creators, the spiritual successor. So I was and it's not
Yeah, it's not like we read the rumor and then they didn't show it. They showed it on the engine on the PS3, didn't they? And then like later on we got the.
Yeah, they showed it in-game engine, which at the time still actually meant what it meant instead of now, how it's actually just a code word for CGI. Anyway,
Or
they showed,
PC.
they showed, or PC, thank you. They showed in-game engine, and I was like, oh my god, yep, I made the right decision. Can't wait for this, but oh, yes, I could. I could wait because I still am, and I have no idea when I'm finally gonna get to play that game.
It's in development. That's what you know now.
Ico was supposed to be a PS1 game. That became a PS2 game very late in the cycle. What, Shadow of the Colossus was released, what, in 2007?
Yeah.
Was it 07?
They've always been, I think it's, I don't know. I thought it was 07. Maybe I'm thinking God of War 2, because that was released in 07.
Well,
Point is, they've always been late bloomers.
well,
But I think it's good.
Good.
oh no, I was gonna say, well, no, you finish your thought first.
Nah, it's all good. Never mind.
I was gonna say, sticking with the Sony topic, since we already talking about PlayStation 4, etc., let me just say this about Sony. There was a report released recently saying that the PS Vita Slims, the production in North America is, Sony cannot keep up, and that is selling out all over North America. Now, when I heard this story, I couldn't help but laugh because I want to know. Now, if it's selling out, what games are people playing on this system that they have to have it? And because from my perspective, maybe I'm wrong, I want to know what Sony's long-term plans are for the Vita. After looking at the E3 show and seeing PlayStation, all the, they just mentioned the Vita ever so slightly and just went to everything else. To me, it looks as though they are treating this as an accessory to PlayStation 4 first and foremost, rather than an actual system with games on it. And I'm not talking about the imported games. I'm talking about where are the games made specifically for the system. So that's a question I have to you, because I got into an argument with somebody over, Twitter, where I was basically saying the 3DS obviously it has a better lineup, better titles than Vita, and somebody tell me, well, no, I prefer Vita. So I like to know where you guys stand on what do you prefer and why, because to me it's like it should be obvious 3DS is the obvious choice.
Yeah. All right, just to throw it in there, Shadow of the Colossus came out 2005.
It was 2005? Oh, I thought it was 06. I was 1 year old.
Oh, yeah, we were both.
Okay, I don't own either the Vita or the 3DS.
You're missing out, bro.
I'd be a freaking idiot to say that the freaking Vita has better content than the 3DS. That is asinine. I don't know how any person that exists and goes outside anywhere could even proclaim that. Like, there's what game? Like when someone said when the person was tweeting that they preferred the Vita, what game did they say they preferred it for?
They did not specify a game. There was a couple people that got involved in that conversation. They said they like the indie titles. They like that the Vita,
You talking about the ones I can play on my PlayStation Network on my PS3?
Yeah, there you go. And let me also throw a shot in, because a friend of ours also said that he preferred Vita, and this is your boy David Jagno. Now, this is the same guy who says he prefers the Vita. Then when a Zelda or Pokemon game come out, oh yeah, man, I love Zelda. It's all about Zelda. So this is what I'm saying. I want to let you know where this is coming from.
Yeah, as an accessory to the PlayStation 4, yeah, it definitely has more appeal in that fashion, and I kind of applaud Sony for switching their scheme up because they didn't have any games. Because if they didn't do that, then the Vita just would have fallen way, way off. But they switched the game up, and they made it, hey, get this to remote play in the future, and blah, blah, blah. But even that hasn't been fully realized.
Yeah,
that's my problem, man, because I own both handheld devices. I got 3DS and VR, And I'm known as a Nintendo hater, but I prefer my 3DS simply because it has Pokemon and Tears of the Final Fantasy. I love those two games right there, and I'm gonna get Smash Bros. Of course. But when it comes to the
You need
Vita,
to get that Fire Emblem, bro.
say what?
You need to get Fire Emblem Awakening. That's one of the best games I've ever played. Period. It's amazing.
That's actually why I wanted 3DS. And then someone told me that there's a Shin Megami Tensei Fire Emblem
I'm holding it.
happening.
Oh yeah, that's coming to the Wii U. So you already know I'm gonna have that. So
I about lost my mind when somebody told me that.
Yep.
Like, because like I'm not very into portable gaming. I had a PSP, but I had it for the fact that I could hack it and play Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo games on it.
So
you can judge me.
basically,
You can judge me if you want to.
who's judging you? You had a PSP for the same reason everyone else on the planet who owned a PSP had a PSP. Because that thing could be broken very easily.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is the Vita in the same boat? Because I haven't kept up with the.
No, I don't think so. Since you have to buy Sony Piper, you have to buy their memory cards, their specially formatted memory cards for like $100.
They've got the Vita on lock. Like they're not.
Yeah.
Piracy. But the thing is though, the Vita at this moment it's in danger of becoming two things. Like Charles said, it's an accessory of PS4, and secondly, it's gonna, they're gonna say you can have all these games in your Vita through PlayStation Now. So it's in danger of just becoming a PlayStation Now device that you can also use with your PS4. That's what is really in danger of being right now, and I think they need to really, get some exclusive games for the Vita. I know they have some JRPGs coming out, like the Tales. They got Tales of Hearts or something, and they've got a lot of other Japanese-based exclusives. But we need more. And one thing I hate is when a game comes out on a console and there's also a Vita version. Like, no, we don't want that. We want exclusive games for the Vita that fully utilizes the hardware, because it's a great device. Like, from a technical standpoint, it blows the 3DS away, but it doesn't have the software to support it, and none of the software really takes advantage of all its features, and that's the biggest problem.
On another side of that, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be so frustrated by this, but I hate when the game comes out on a console and the sequel to that game is on a handheld. Or, for example, I don't know if y'all played it, but Valkyria Chronicles was a very, very good game, and I love that game. It's one of my top 5 games on the PS3. But the second one was on a portable. And from what I'm understanding, it was okay, but it wasn't very, very good. But that franchise may be dead now because they decided to put it on a portable, where most of those people probably didn't even play the original one, and then it didn't sell well. Like, that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a little bit bitter. I'm still a little salty, as the kids say, because I rushed out and I got a 3DS the day Ocarina of Time, one of my favorite games of all time. It's in the top 5. Was re-released on 3DS. I buy it, and I kid you not, I buy it and I open it, I play it. The next day they announced they're dropping the price for the 3DS from $249.99 to $179.99. And I was so jaded, I put it in a box, haven't played it since.
Goodness.
I got a Vita day one. I'm disappointed because I think Gary pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's become a second screen. And I don't want a second screen. I got a nice TV. I don't need a second screen. Yeah. But I think for the most part, I don't know. I don't know if you guys are the same or not, but for me, a purchase is always justified console-wise when I can equate the number of game value for the price of the console. So I spent I got the 3G version. So I spent $350 on the, no, 300, excuse me. I spent $300 on the Vita. And I think I've gone back, those games are usually $40 a piece. I bought it really for Uncharted. I was really disappointed. I did not care for Golden Abyss really, but I've gone on to really. I didn't like it at all.
No one
That
talks
conversation.
about it anymore.
You know,
Oh,
you know why you didn't like it though, right?
why is that?
Because Naughty Dog didn't develop the game.
Oh, yeah, it was Sony Ben.
Yeah.
There was practically a chapter. I think the chapter, I kid you not, I think the chapter was you climbed a ladder, and then it was like chapter 14, and then you had to get down on the other side of the ladder. I thought, this is too much. This is crazy. That being said, though, I've gone on to play. I never played it. I'm not a huge JRPG guy, but I really like Persona 4 Gold.
Yeah, buddy.
I've gone on. A lot of dialogue, but I like it. I've gone on to really like Gravity Rush, Soul Sacrifice. I thought the Killzone game for Vita was better than Shadowfall.
That's the truth right there, man.
No, I'm not. I'm not laughing because I disagree with him. I'm laughing because I agree with him wholeheartedly. That's why I was laughing.
I'm holding out for Gravity Rush 2. I want to pick up Tearaway. There's probably 4 or 5 more Vita games. I think that I can hit that. I think I can spend $300 worth of on PlayStation Vita titles alone and be content with my purchase. I'm disappointed they've kind of. I think Yoshida said, "Oh yeah, off-screen play and indies are going to be the future for Vita." Well, that's cheap and lazy. But I don't know. You come what may, I guess. The handheld kind of reign is over. That's sad in its own right, but not completely unexpected.
Well, I have a question. I have a question for you, Charles. So, if they said that we're going to make a Vita version of Bloodborne, will you buy that version as well, or will you just stick with the PlayStation 4 version?
The heck would I buy the other version for? No. Like, no. Like, for the Vita, make games like Golden Abyss was an opportunity where, like, some derivative of Naughty Dog should have made it, not another company entirely.
Yeah.
If you get some of these games, even like get some original stuff, and get some stories that branch off from these major titles, and tell their own story and put them on the Vita. Like, it was a missed opportunity, but now we're gonna be stuck just playing Super Time Force or just remote play Call of Duty or something on my Vita, which I don't have a Vita.
I am completely comfortable saying that BioShock Vita would have saved the platform.
No.
Like, do you mean just the original game, or like another?
No,
was there another one that was?
They were developing an all-new BioShock game. They announced it in 2011. It was a side story. There was just this big argument over who's funding it. Sony should have just shut up. They funded so much crap throughout the years. Sony should have just shut up, taken the bill, paid for BioShock Vita, an all-new game. Ken Levine put him in charge, and that should have been that.
That would have been amazing. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, well, maybe, and I do mean maybe that would have saved Irrational, but I doubt that, because I heard they were just burning through money with how long it took for Infinite to come out. So
No, that would have helped them, because there's a ton of people that bought Vitas with no games to play, so that game would have sold like hotcakes.
Oh yeah. Well, Tearaway did well, right? Oh, actually, wasn't Tearaway one of the games that came out in November, in that crazy month where there was a whole bunch of other games that came out last year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see, well, there you go.
You know what the Vita needs? Because the thing is, Nintendo has an IP that they only put on their handhelds that will not come on the Wii U, and Sony needs it. It's a Megaton title, Pokemon. You'll know. There are people that will just buy that device for that game.
Yes, they do need something like that.
Vita needs something like that, where there's a big Megaton game that you will only see on that device.
They should have paid money to try and get Monster Hunter, but that's not going to happen because that would make so much sense. If Monster Hunter was exclusive to the Vita for handheld, this would not be. We wouldn't even be having this discussion.
That's true.
Like
That is
the two
100%
systems. I mean, Nintendo would still be winning, but it wouldn't be winning this bad. It'd be close. Like right now, I mean, because my son's not stopping. I mean, you're not beating Nintendo when it comes to handheld. Like, let that go. But Sony
No,
would still
not
be
with
there.
Pokemon. Not with
Now,
Pokemon.
yeah, now with Pokemon, like, let that go. But you'd still be there. You'd be in the discussion. Right now, the Vita's not in the discussion, and it's unfortunate because there's some good games on that Vita too.
And it's a powerful device.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. That's what Sony does not seem to understand with a handheld. I'm not playing in handheld to get 1080p, 60 frames per second. It's a handheld. Like, really? You think I'm really gonna see that? I'm not. It's a handheld. You think people are paying Plants vs Zombies on their iPads for 60 frames per? Like, no, they don't care about that. Is the game fun? Is it easy to get into? But does it also have depth? Is it an exclusive experience to the mobile platform? If the answer to all of these are yes, it'll do well. If it's not, then no. I'm not buying a Vita to play Killzone. I'd buy a PS4 for Killzone, even though I will give you that the Killzone on the Vita was better. But yeah, I would, if I wanted to play Killzone. Like, to me, it's just the Vita is a missed opportunity. I don't know what Sony... Like, they didn't even discuss the Vita at E3. No one's talking about that. They went all of E3, and Sony did not mention the Vita. How is that allowed? Like, how are Sony people like, okay, I'm cool with that. If I bought a Vita, like, I'm sitting there like, okay, so where the Vita games at, Sony? Like, show something on the screen. You don't even have to show gameplay. Can you do what Nintendo did like 3-4 years ago and show us a list of all the people that are going to support the Vita? No, you're not going to mention it except to say that I can stream games to it from my PlayStation. All right, that's cool. So I just spent $300-400 on a handheld to do nothing with it, basically. But it's flying off the shelves now because I guess people really want a second screen. Which, in that case, I'd say, why don't you just get a 3DS? It comes with two.
I don't know. I guess they want that second screen though for that. It's a funny predicament. You've seen the PS4s. I think it was around 9 million sold the latest number, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's at 9 million now.
And you've seen that many people with PS4s. I guess they want a second screen. I guess they've done a good job knocking the price down, but they haven't really made it a premier actually would be the better word. Console. It's an accessory, and even then, it's not even an accessory that's marketed like something like the DualShock, and yet I'm just taken aback at this resurgence it's had. I think what the prevailing bundle right now is the Crackdown 2, not Crackdown. Wow, excuse me, the Borderlands 2 bundle.
Yeah. By the way, that Borderlands 2 on Vita, absolute garbage. But continue.
Yeah, like, stop trying to emulate a console experience on the freaking thing. Like, we don't want to. That's not the goal at all. Question. We're off topic just a little bit. Why were the Kingdom Hearts spread so far out amongst these consoles?
Even better question. Why isn't Kingdom Hearts being made as an exclusive for the Vita?
What? Exactly. Like, that's what I was working toward. I'm like, because when I was talking about the whole Valkyria Chronicles thing actually sparked from a conversation that I had before where someone I was talking about, I was like, we had Kingdom Hearts 1, we had 2. And then you freaking throw these games. You got one on the PSP, you got one on the 3DS or the 2DS or the regular DS and the 3DS. I'm like, what was the point? I'm not buying all three consoles to experience one story.
Oh, whoa.
Like, I can't afford to do that, and it's dumb. Like, it makes no sense, especially if one of those purchases has to be a PSP for just games but once I hacked it, everything was good.
So I have a question though. So Kingdom Hearts 3 is officially when this went multi-platform, or did some of these games appear on the 3DS or Nintendo platforms already, the handhelds?
Yeah, it was Kingdom Hearts 2. Then they made like 2.5 something for the 3D for the original DS. It's like the versions that are on the DS. They're like, I don't even think they progressed the story forward really. I think they're
somebody
just
bring up
side
Wikipedia.
stories. Oh yeah, I mean I'll be honest. I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts fan at all. I don't like. I tried to play the first one. I'm like, yeah, I'm too old for this, and then I stopped.
Like the one Birth by Sleep, I think is the one.
Yeah.
Was on 3DS or the DS. that one of the portable ones advanced the story more than the others.
And there's like a chain of memories or something, or on the PSP.
Right. Yeah, and like, why would you make Birth by Sleep on the Nintendo? Like, why would Sony allow that to happen?
Well,
That made no sense.
Well, they are rectifying that issue now with Kingdom Hearts Remix HD 1 and 2, 1.5, 2.5, 2.7, 2.9. They're doing all this now.
It feel like Capcom got a hold of Kingdom Hearts. We got Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts Ultra Mega Mix. And
those HD mixes are actually good value though, because you're getting a lot of content you didn't get before. Like if you,
that is a very clean statement, but it would make more sense if all those games were already on Sony consoles.
Yeah.
Honestly, they really should have been. I don't know. I mean, I can understand. Here's the thing: either make Kingdom Hearts fully multi-platform, or just keep it on the Sony platform.
Yeah.
Like when I found out Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming to the Xbox consoles, my first response was why.
Exactly.
Wait,
Who that plays Xbox cares about Kingdom Hearts? Like I don't understand.
Not even. It would make more sense if it came out on the PlayStation and the Wii U, because it was on their portable device.
Yeah,
Put it out on the Xbox.
Xbox. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You always have third-party publishers chase the numbers. Nobody, I think, in June of 2013 thought it would be this bad. Nobody thought Xbox One and PS, and actually everything I've heard from some good sources said that they were up to, like, Sony was almost up to the week of locking an exclusive deal down with Final Fantasy 15, and then I think there was a new president exchange at Square Enix, and he's like, no, let's just go ahead and release it on everything, except for Wii U, like always. But
Yeah. Wii U.
there's this prevailing notion that you had the PS2 destroy the, and I say that, and that's hard to say because I was an original Xbox guy. I was fighting off the PS2.
I mean, it destroyed the original. I mean, we all know why it destroyed the original Xbox. It came out. The Xbox came out what, 3 years after the PS2? They were already at like 60 million. Like you weren't catching them. It was like, honestly, they shouldn't have even. I don't know if they waited too late or what, but honestly, it's like you probably could have just like not have released that system. The only reason I'm happy they did is because I got Halo. But
you go back, it's a situation. Dreamcast released $99.99.
Yep.
Did not include a DVD player. PlayStation 2's released because they sell the DVD player aspect of it. Dreamcast gone in about 1 to 2 years, or 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
You have the Xbox released a year after the PS2. Xbox a little bit more expensive but more powerful. Becomes I hate to say it this way, but it started off as niche. I don't want to say it ended up niche, but it becomes pretty prevalent when it comes to the franchises it goes after. It approaches kind of a really it was a battle. It was a battle for the living room, but both. I don't know. You didn't have JRPGs on the Xbox.
No, you did not. The biggest RPG I remember playing on the original Xbox, outside of the BioWare ones, was Morrowind, and that Morrowind was absolutely amazing on the original Xbox for the time. Like that was the first, like that Elder Scrolls. Oh my god, I love Morrowind so much. That's why I don't like Oblivion, because Oblivion was such a huge letdown from Morrowind. But
Fable was fun too.
40 minutes on that. I love Morrowind. Morrowind is the only game that has made me feel like I was fully immersed into an alien.
You lost, like I lost into reality playing Morrowind. I was in Morrowind. I didn't care. Like I was missing school. Like it was a problem. Like it was almost an addiction.
Well, I mean, you brought a good point up though. It's PS2 had JRPGs, Xbox had Western RPGs. You progress that to the generation after that. 360 beat the PS3 to market. It beat it cheaper. We've had a complete reversal of fortunes this time around. I think everybody was expecting the Xbox. I think the reason why you start off with so many multi-platform games announced for both is everybody was expecting the Xbox One to be the successor to the 360. It's not.
Oh no, that's literally what a lot of companies have come out and admitted. They thought the Xbox One was going to beat out the PS4. They had no idea that Microsoft was going to price themselves out of the competition from the jump.
Yes.
I mean, it's. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, what you said about that price themselves out, yes, they should have learned from what Sony did with PlayStation 3 when that first came out. So I don't understand who made the decision.
It's a case when you get okay. Think of it this way: Sony did what they did with the PS3 because they had the PS1 and PS2 was completely successful. They demolished the competition, so they figured they were like, we're Sony, we could sell a system for $700 and then you'll buy it anyway because we're Sony. Like that's why the guy was in the conference talking about people will get second jobs to buy a PS3 or go without air conditioning in the summer. Like what? Who says that? But that is the mentality that they had because they were doing it so well. So then Microsoft does well with the 360. Like they see a vast improvement. So they're sitting there thinking, oh, well, we can do whatever we want. We can take risks, even if the gamers don't want it, because they'll buy it anyway. When you get to that top position, you feel like you can do what you want. Nintendo's even done this before. The entire reason Sony's in the gaming industry now, as we all know, is because of Nintendo. And ironically, the entire reason that Microsoft's in the gaming industry is because of Sony killing the Dreamcast. Whatever, you get what I'm saying. So it's like with Microsoft, they just assumed, okay, we won last gen, quote unquote. I don't really think they won. I think everyone won last gen. Honestly, no, fuck that. Nintendo won last gen. Let's be honest. But we won outside of Nintendo, so we'll just do what we want, and we'll charge $500. And they didn't understand that you can't do that anymore, and they're paying the cost right now for that mistake. So. I think
the turnaround though is and this is going to sound extremely elitist, but when I owned an Xbox and not a PS2, I felt like I owned the premium system. When I ended up buying a PS3 I had both. I had a 360 first, but when I got a PS3, I thought that was the premium system. We never had a situation where the most powerful system is also the cheapest system.
Yeah.
But I think breaking the Kinect out of the box, I think selling it separately, I think at the end of the day, you're going to have a huge turnaround when it comes to people buying the system and Kinect.
No, they won't.
I think it's going to do well.
You have to understand that there's the people, and this is what I don't know about. Microsoft does not have this ability to look at the world for what it is for them. For instance, you're never going to sell in Japan if you're Microsoft. You're not. Stop releasing the system over there. They're not going to buy your system. You're wasting tons of money and resources releasing a system in a country that doesn't want your system there. You're just going to lose. What's the point when they announce Japanese sales every week, and every week you sell 3 systems? What? Like, stop releasing the system there. It's a loss for you. And then you drop the Kinect because people, like, first, they make 2 mistakes. First, they go back on the always online because they figure that's going to get people to buy the system. And I told people, like, if they go back on this, it's going to hurt them in the long run because the people who weren't buying it because they needed to be online are then going to use the excuse that they quote-unquote flip-flop to not buy it. Lo and behold, what happens? They change it, people still don't get the system that said they weren't going to get it before because they flip-flop. Then they remove the Kinect feature. People say, I don't want to get it because I'm scared that the government's going to spy on me doing nothing. Like, why would, like, if you don't commit crimes, why do you care that there's a camera watching you? Watching you do what? Not committing crimes? They're not going to arrest you because you're dirty. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you scared of being on camera? Anyway, they removed the camera from the Xbox One. Oh, this system's going to fly off the shelves. No. Why? Because now it's the Xbox 180. They keep flip-flopping. Like, you have to realize you have to appeal to who your fans are and focus on that. That's what Nintendo seems to have identified, and they're starting to turn the Wii U around now. Stop focusing on what the naysayers and haters are saying. They're never going to support your console. These people on NeoGAF and PSN, or PSN 4G as I call it, N4G, those people on those sites, Microsoft could cure cancer, and these people could have cancer. And if they see Microsoft on that label of that medicine for the cancer, they will die of cancer. Okay, they don't want to support you. Stop trying to appeal to them. Like, you have to go.
I don't know if I necessarily can agree with that. I've been a NeoGAF member for some time. I think the Xbox fan base. I can't speak for N4G. I don't want to. But I think the Xbox fan base, by God, they're passionate. They will go to blows when it comes to fighting over how great they think Sunset Overdrive is, and I can respect that.
Yeah, awesome.
I think you've seen.
What about the NeoGAF members that aren't Xbox fans, the ones that hate Microsoft?
I mean, that's their prerogative. I think you are gonna. I mean, I can't fault someone I can't fault Jeff Kiley who looks at Phil Spencer and he says, "What about people who own both? Why should someone get Evolve on your system over Evolve on the PS4? I have both. I'm gonna get Evolved on the PS4 because it is a better port. Nothing against them. I think if anything, I think desperate Microsoft is best Microsoft because you go back to 2001 through 2005 and you saw a system that put out great games over great annualized franchise. We had our Jade Empire. I'm holding out for our Crimson Skies too.
I'm hoping we get another Jade Empire. I'm hoping we get another Crimson. Oh yeah, so many great games. Oh my god.
Phantom Dust is getting made, so if Phantom Dust is getting made, I think all bets are off. The gates to hell have been thrown open. Anything can happen. I think we'll see a new Banjo-Kazooie in the next few years. I think we will see a new Conquer. I think Microsoft has been put in a position where they need to rely on their first-party, second-party, and maybe, actually, even third-party franchises to produce great content. And Michael, I kind of disagree. I think you go look at their Microsoft has always been willing to invest more in marketing, so I think they're always going to win the marketing deal. But if you look at how they're selling the system, at the end of the commercial with the dude from Breaking Bad, they talk about now a $3.99 connectless model. But if you look at that entire commercial, Connect is featured. I think
Yeah.
But do you not see how that's not a smart thing? Like, look all these things I could do with this, and then you have to pay an extra $100.
I think it is a smart thing because they've essentially taken an entire console, and they have found a way to take an entire console and sell those. What are the smaller transactions? Where it's like buy gold in the system, or like you get the game for free. Essentially they found a way to microtransaction an entire console. You're gonna have people bring home the $3.99 connectless Xbox. Oh, well, where's Connect? Let's go back and let's go buy the $125 attachment. I think they're gonna have a great turnaround. I think they're still selling people the same thing that they may or may not have wanted to begin with. I think they've just found a more clever way to do it. Honestly.
I don't know. I mean, Microsoft, the Xbox One isn't selling bad. Let me put that out there. It's selling faster than the 360 did. So, I mean, both systems are doing well. It's just that to me, when I look at what the Xbox could be doing, and I don't even just mean in terms of the sales, because honestly, I don't care about the sales. I get the system or systems I like. I'm talking about in terms of who Microsoft could cater toward. When I saw what they were going to do with the original vision for the Xbox One, I'll be honest, it's not entirely the fans' fault. That marketing, they dropped the ball on that. Some of the features that were going to come from that, they never told anyone about it. They didn't go into detail about the family sharing and all that. So people just saw always on the internet and just freaked out. They didn't understand that there was going to be benefits from that, which is always funny to me because now when you see PS Now that you have to have internet action to use that, people are fine with that because Sony explained the benefits of the internet connection. Microsoft didn't do that. But it's like with Microsoft, they listen to the knee-jerk reactions of people from sites like these that will never buy their system at all, and now they're trying to win over people you can't win over. And that's my point. It's like you need to realize some people are just not going to like you. They're not going to like you because they don't like you as a company. They're not going to like you because maybe they genuinely just don't like the games you make. They don't jive with them as an individual. They're not going to like you because they don't like how your system looks. Whatever the reason is, there are always going to be consumers that don't like you. But you don't need them to be successful. You appeal to your fans, and you try and get new fans, maybe people who don't game at all. That's why the Wii took off. Nintendo said, screw the gamers that are hating on us. We're going for people who play Nintendo games, and we're going for people who don't play games at all. Because those two markets we can get people from. We can't get people from that Sony and Microsoft market who think that Nintendo is kiddie. Well, you know what? Microsoft cannot take people from that Sony camp that think Microsoft's the most evil company in the world and that Bill Gates eats children. Like, you can't get gamers from them. So it's like, why are you bothering trying? It's a wasted effort. You could be dedicating that time and resources to making better features, to bringing up new IPs and stuff like that. And, I mean, I like the direction, I guess, that Phil Spencer is trying to take things, but even still, like, he was all apologetic and stuff. I'm like, dude, the company made decisions, then you changed your mind on it. Why are you apologizing? Like, go forward from there. Like, it's like they don't have an identity anymore. and they're trying to be. It's like basically the Xbox One is trying to be what the 360 was again. But why? Like you already have your 360. Be something new. That's why it's a new generation. Don't be like Sony. Don't be the PS4, which is basically a 360 with better graphics. I don't want that in my Xbox One. I want an Xbox One that's a new system. Go forward from there. But now we have two new pieces of hardware that do nothing new other than have better graphics. That's it. That's not progress to me. And in large part, I blame Microsoft from that, because Sony from the gate was going to do what they were going to do. Microsoft was the one that tried to do something different. Caved from pressure from haters and went back to being the same thing. I can't forgive them for that. Like, that bothers me to this day, honestly.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Michael. I got a Super Nintendo, I got a Nintendo 64, I got a GameCube, I got an Xbox, I got a 360. I never had a PS3 was my first. But I got those consoles I mentioned because I wanted better versions of the previous iteration. If I wanted a webcam, I don't want to rip on Kinect. I don't want to take the argument. But I wanted that next jump. And for me, my big problem, and I think why I've changed my opinion, is for me, Microsoft should have always been about the games. From 2010 to 2013, they stopped that focus. They became that really box you're talking about, that next generation multimedia all-in-one box, and I don't like that. And I'll say that not to wear it as some type of tie on my shirt and walk around proud, not to use it as like it adds weight to my title, but I've loved Xbox since '01, and I didn't love what they've become. And I don't know if it's selfish, I don't know if it's naive, I don't know if it's nearsighted, but I wanted a better Xbox 360. And I was offended. For me, I was offended day one. You come out, you do this hour-long special on Spike, and you show me one clip from your exclusive lineup, and that's Quantum Break. We haven't seen that since. You show me Quantum Break, and then you spend the rest of the time talking about things that I'll probably never end up doing with my Xbox One. I play Blu-ray movies. I don't even have Netflix on it. Maybe I'm holding out because I'm one of the last to have like that desire for dedicated devices. That's why I don't, play games on my phone. But I think those people you talk about were never going to buy an Xbox One anyway. They're the people who bought a PS3 at the beginning. The people they care about, and I think the people who are most important are those who have switched over. You got to give them a reason to come back. Sell the Xbox One at $399 without the Kinect, and then make them, through your marketing, miss that Kinect being an aspect. You look at Kinect, and I'd argue, you look at Kinect with the 2010 forward, I'd argue pretty well, like holding in the belief that the majority of Kinect sold were the add-ons. People didn't go out and go buy the bundle because it was the console plus the bundle. People like to pay the smaller price point, even if in the end it will end up costing them more. I think it was a wiser move to separate them. I really do.
I actually agree with him. It should have been separate from the beginning. It should have been offered. Should have been offered as an option, and
I don't know.
And move forward from there.
If you look at gaming history, whenever consoles come out with accessories that are offered optionally, what happens to those accessories? Nothing.
What happened to the Kinect though?
No, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like the Kinect, what was the weakness of the Kinect with the 360? It came out, it sold well, but it never had a 1-to-1 attachment ratio. So games didn't come out. Do you know why games weren't coming out for the Kinect? Because people who were making games for 360 were like, well, only 10 million people have Kinect. That's less than 1/8 of the total market share on the Xbox 360. So why would I make games for people who have Kinect and only appeal to 1/8 of the Xbox 360? And that's just for people making exclusives. Now you're talking multi-platforms. Why would you bother trying to make Kinect features? Not everyone with that system has it. With the Xbox One, the way it came out, everyone would have a Kinect. Your market, like the value of making features with the Kinect increased because everyone has it. So it's like, imagine how Harmonix must feel now with their game that was coming out for the Kinect, and now people are buying the system and aren't going to buy Kinect, so they're not going to be able to play that game. And you're going to see more companies. You're going to see more. And I mean, they showed the game in E3, and I'm sitting there like, well, this is cool. Too bad half the people in 2 years won't even have a Kinect, so they're not playing your game, but the game looks cool. And like it's
agree with
only
you.
going to get worse.
No, I mean it's a situation where you give people an excuse to complain and bitch about when you force them to buy an accessory. But I'd argue that these same people will jump at buying that accessory to play a certain game. I don't think it's going to be a one-for-one attach rate. I don't think it ever was. I think if people found a way in the original, in the early days of Xbox One to keep the console and sell the Kinect, they could do that. I think the selling point is going to be the voice controls. I think you're going to have Billy Bob sit down from buying his Xbox at Walmart, put in Titanfall, Xbox play Titanfall. Oh wait, I don't get to have those voice commands. I think it's insignificant, but I still think it's a selling point.
I don't know if voice commands are going to be worth people paying $100 to get a Kinect. I really
look
don't.
at this. Look at this way.
It have to impact actual gameplay, and we're not going to see that because people aren't going to develop.
Well, here's the thing, like the Kinect.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
At this point, that it's really selling on the strength, like the people like the Kinect feature on the strength of these voice commands and that feature, because what game is making it worth it now?
And that's my point.
But here's the thing: the decision's already been made. Like you have to live with it now. And
I agree. I understand that.
And to take it, I think that they should have, instead of focusing on price, they need to focus on value, and show that the Kinect is worth it, as opposed to taking it away.
That's what I said. I was like, I'd rather they keep the Kinect. You just came out with the ability to connect external hard drives. So lower the hard drive space in it. You don't need 500 gigabytes if you can connect a terabyte hard drive anyway. So lower it to like 100 gigs or something like that, and drop the price. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, because now you're putting a lot of people in tight spots, because to focus on what Austin was saying, now that you're removing it and you're making your marketing make it valuable, so they have to go and spend the extra $100 after the fact. It's going to be harder to do because they don't have the games. And now you're in the tight spot. Go ahead.
Well, ask yourself this: how many of you guys had a Wii?
Me.
Yeah. How many? Do you guys all have a Wii?
Yeah, I think so. Everyone. Oh, okay.
Do you guys remember having to go off and spend like $40 on the Motion Plus that you ended up using really on 3 or 4 games? One of that game was Zelda. I really think they just need one killer app, and people will buy the Kinect. They'll keep it for the voice commands, but I think they'll pick it up for one reason. Just like I'm pretty sure we all had expansion packs on our N64 to play that sweet Majora's Mask sequence.
Oh, you're right on that, but you got to remember the expansion packs. Those were both $40. We're talking about $100+ accessory now.
I think if they're smart, they'll balance it out. But I mean,
I'd agree with you if they started with it separate, but for them to take it away is my problem.
Exactly, because that's if the system. I mean, I personally wouldn't have liked it this way, but based on where they are now, they would have just been better off coming out with the systems and the Kinect separated from the jump.
Yeah, because you have to think like Harmonix. Look at there were probably people that wanted to integrate more intricate Kinect things because they knew that everyone had the capability of doing that, but now they don't.
And now they don't. There's people who are already working on Kinect games. How do you think they feel knowing that?
I feel no sympathy for Rare. In my opinion, their chains have been broken. They are free to do it.
I don't even mean Rare. I mean, I feel you on that. I do think Rare doing only Kinect is kind of a waste. But I mean, I'm just talking about other companies.
No, they have to. Microsoft needs to push them to do it now, to show the value of it. Because now they've got Rare would be a company that
from a developmental standpoint, the Kinect does not have the same value that it once did on the Xbox One. It can't, because there's no way that everyone, even if people didn't use it, you could argue 80-90% of everyone would have had a Kinect. 2-3 years in the future from now, I promise you, the people with Kinects on the Xbox One, they're going to be less than 30% of the entire fan base.
Ouch.
How does that improve? How does that improve? If I'm a developer, what's my drive now to make an Xbox One game that factors in Kinect features? What's my drive as a person working at Microsoft to keep adding new features for the Xbox One to utilize the Kinect for? There's no drive anymore. They're saying that there's still going to be a drive. No, there won't be.
Let's be completely honest. I do think going forward, it will sell more. Because I think it's that sense of we need to get this, it wasn't in the box to begin with, versus, oh, I got to pay more because this is in the box. But let's be honest. There isn't much advantage to develop a game with Kinect in mind. I have Fable, The Journey, or whatever it was, the Kinect game. I even bought Star Wars Kinect. I say that with a lowered voice. There's
Yeah, I
not
don't know why
much.
you said that. That was not a good decision on you, and I would never have admitted that in public. I would not have admitted that in public. You are braver than I am.
I'm a Star Wars fan, and I also bought Force Unleashed 1 and 2.
Force Unleashed 1 wasn't bad. Force Unleashed 2 had great
Force Unleashed
acting.
2 was
But,
a 3-hour length. Crazy.
yeah.
My point is, there's not much game developers can do with that, and I think it'd be sasatisfying.
I don't agree. I think that there's not much that has been done, but we don't know what the potential was, and we're never going to know now.
I mean, beyond voice controls, which you can really do with a microphone anyway, what would make it more
think of it this way.
different-
Remember when Nintendo announced the Rumble Pack on the N64, and everyone's like, well, really, this is a gimmick. What's Rumble really going to do to gameplay anyway? And here we are in
I never had
2015.
one back on my N64. I can't see.
Oh. Well, I mean, okay, well, you understand that every system that came out after that pretty much had Rumble built in from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
And
My God, it was hilarious to watch those early PS3 adapters, though, defend why you don't need Rumble.
All those early PS3, yeah, we don't need Rumble in our controllers. Who needs Rumble? I remember it gets in the way. Excuse me? You believe that? Clearly you don't, because when that new DualShock came out with Rumble, you were in line in the rain to get it. So yeah, Rumble was kind of important. But my point is, before that happened, like when Nintendo decided to come out with Rumble, people were like, "This is a gimmick. No one really needs this." No one saw what it could do to gaming. All innovation starts at that point. You do something, and people are going to look at you like you're crazy, or it's going to look like it's wasteful. But you have to keep at it. You have to keep trying. You have to show faith to it. You can't half-ass innovation. If you half-ass innovation, you get accessories that don't do well. Remember how Nintendo, like, every time Nintendo would come out with a system, they had a light toy gun that came out with the system, like, within the first year? The Super Scope on the NES, or the light gun on the on the SNES, or the light gun on the NES? And they would sell okay in the beginning, and they'd have 1 or 2 games that used it. Then you completely forgot the thing existed because people stopped making games for it because not everyone had it. Accessories are going to keep working that way. Look at Sony with the PS Move. When was the last time you heard Sony mention the PS Move?
PS Move. What the hell is a PS Move?
Thank you, Rich. That's my point.
Even more so. Do y'all remember that little book, the Wonder Book, or whatever it was?
Oh my God!
I think the optional inclusion of accessories will continue to minimize their audience. I'm alone maybe in thinking this, but I don't think virtual reality is going to be a big hit. I think it'll be niche.
I'm with you.
Oh no, I'm definitely with you on that.
I don't agree with. No, okay, I'll say it like this. People think virtual reality is happening tomorrow. No. It's going to take a long time before we get to the point where you're playing Skyrim 12 in virtual reality. We're not going to see that in a while.
Can I ask you guys this? And just out of curiosity, I don't know if this is me or not, but for me, when it becomes virtual reality, it ceases to be escapism. It's not like I want to play that world. I don't want to live in that world. And I don't see how I could play an Uncharted with a VR headset.
Uncharted? I couldn't. I see what you're saying. I mean, I think for some games it'll add immersion, so I'll still be playing it. But for other games, I don't know if I want to play a game. Like if I want to play a game like Wolfenstein in virtual reality, I'm not about that life. I can't do that. Yeah. Like some of those games, I don't want to play in virtual reality. I don't need to be that much in the game. I need that divide between me and the game. But if I can see it impacting like a sports game in virtual reality, oh yeah, I'm about that. That'd be amazing. If they can do it right, yeah, that'll work. But some games, like no. I don't think it's going to be required for every game. And like even with the Kinect that I'm saying, I don't think every game needs Kinect. I'm not saying that they need to find a way to get Kinect features in Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. I still remember that stupid wireless Dragon Ball Z game I played on my Wii. I felt like a complete idiot as an adult male doing the Kamehameha motion. I did it, but I looked like an idiot. I'm not saying every game needs motion gaming or motion controls or voice interaction or any of these things or a hybrid of these things. But I'm saying that There are games that could be conceptualized using these tools, and we're never going to get those games until someone decides to fully back these ways of playing games. We are still sitting down on our butts, holding controllers, or hunched over like the Hunchback from Notre Dame on our keyboards and mouse playing video games. Where's the innovation with how we're going to interact with games? And I don't just mean virtual reality. I mean like Kinect. I mean like PS Move and the Wii Motion. Where's the innovation?
Let me ask you, does there need to be innovation?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I mean, let me ask you this. We've been watching movies the same way for 100 years. They had smell-o-vision, but it didn't add anything.
No. There's innovation. The innovation that they're focusing on is the wrong type. I don't need innovation in how I control my game. I need innovation in the game itself.
Why can't there be innovation with both? And there has been innovation with movies. You think 3D movies were around when they first came out? No.
I think 3D movies have been around a lot longer than they've been around for what, 50, 60 years? We've had 3D movies for a long time.
And you gotta remember, I mean, I'm not saying it's huge, but like, I mean, the standard now for films is 24 frames per second. That wasn't the case for all that long. We're talking like 30 years. Before that, it was like 12 frames per second. It was really bad. Yeah, and even now we have movies that are coming out that are doubling that up.
Maybe I'm the old guy with the crutch, like yelling at the kids in the lawn, though. But I think innovation, for innovation's sake, leads to useless gimmicks. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how. Like, I'm a narrative-driven guy, and I don't know how Kinect or biometric controls or VR could help me enjoy something like The Order or Uncharted 3, or maybe even Quantum Break.
But that's my point. They don't need to improve those games. I'm talking about new games that use these things that we're not going to get because no one wants to use these things. That's my point.
The problem is
innovation isn't just. Oh, go ahead, Gary. Sorry.
The problem is with that is companies would then have to invest money to make games specifically for the VR device, and then that means that consumers probably aren't even going to have enough software that supports the VR device to pay that price for it, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be like over $100 or something, like maybe even $200.
But so, wait, what's going to be? Oh, you're talking about virtual reality specifically.
Yeah, like.
Okay, I got you. Oh, so okay, I mean, no, I can respect. Yeah, I mean, it's true, but that's what I'm like. You can't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm some weird idiot, but I don't like the fact that I'm sitting down holding a controller to play games the same way I was doing 20 years ago. I'm shooting the same stupid barrels that explode. Why is every barrel explosive in a game? That makes no sense at all. I walk down the street, I see garbage cans. If I shoot a garbage can, does it explode? No. So why do they explode in the game?
But that's just game innovation. That won't.
I know. I'm just giving an example. Why am I shooting people with a trigger on a controller? Why am I opening the door with pressing the A button? These things aren't new. It's the same thing.
I mean, it could always be like Force Unleashed, where you walk up, you either have to blow the door open or.
See, when I'm talking innovation, don't bring up Force Unleashed. That's a bad example of innovation. We all acknowledge that.
I just don't see. As I said earlier, I've been watching movies the same way for 24 years. I've been playing games the same way for 24 years. We've added more buttons. I don't see how that's necessarily a problem. Do you want to reach out and open the door in real life? If that's the situation, well, just open a door in real life.
You don't think movies have changed at all? Not only how they're made, but how you view them in 24 years.
I think the movie. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Richard.
Maybe the issue is like.
I'm gonna say something after you done.
Oh, after me?
Yeah, after you. Go ahead.
I think the basic principles stay the same. I think, we've had more computers generate more effects, but we're still using green screen. We're still sitting on our asses and watching a big screen unfold. We still are, I think most movies still, I don't think mono's been around for quite some time. I think it's all stereo now. I think for the most part, we still need actors. We still need directors. The formula doesn't change.
Because there's parts of the world where there's already animated characters that are acting in film. I'm not making this up either. Like, there's a Japanese musician right now that's not a real person. It's an AI construct. And this person has sold millions of CDs. This computer program.
I think it's all relative. I think it's great to see Andy Serkis play Gollum But that is just not an evolution. That is an enhancement of Frank Oz puppeteering Yoda. You still have the organic controlling the synthetic. You still have the real playing the unreal. I don't think it's evolved. I don't think it's become
No,
innovative.
I mean, I acknowledge that, but what I'm saying is that we're getting to a point where we do have the inorganic acting organic. You see what I'm saying? Like,
My point is
like,
we've had that
okay.
for some time.
How much did you like? Did you like the Wii?
who, me? Yeah,
Yeah.
there were games I enjoyed on it, yeah.
Did you feel like that's the direction you wanted to go in? Because like I can't imagine the VR
I'll be honest,
stuff
no.
without.
I didn't see the Wii as a... There were aspects of the Wii that I liked, and I wanted to see them go forward with, but I didn't see the Wii as itself. Honestly, if you ask me, the one system... out of all three of those last systems, I didn't think any one of them did a good job of being what I wanted gaming to be and moving forward from. I liked bits and pieces of all three of them.
Maybe I'm wrong, but with the VR movement, all I imagine is wearing goggles, like the way that the gameplay would feel to me is I'm wearing goggles with some really good surround sound headphones and a Wiimote in my hand.
That's how VR gaming would start. But I mean, what happens when we get to a point where you don't have to wear the goggles anymore and you don't have to hold that remote in your hand?
So you're getting more physical. Wait. You're getting more physical exertion out of me. Yes, but is that innovative, or that's just a different way of doing it? That's not moving the culture forward. The only genre I think that would work in, like the VR stuff, is the horror genre. That's the only genre I think it would even like gain a foothold in.
And the shooter genre, I think.
And the shooter genre.
The shooter genre is just going to be what the Wii had.
Or any explorative genre-based game. I mean, who knows? We'd have new genres that would spawn up from this.
You could have adventure games.
I had a friend of mine recently tell me, and I kid you not, he said, "Man, I can't wait till VR gets to the point where I feel like I'm exploring China." I said, "Tim, just go to China."
I mean, you're right in that regard. I mean, it's okay. There's got to be a line. You can't want virtual reality so that you can go see China as if China's not here. You can just go to China, dude.
I just think it adds a greater disconnect. You've got more accessories on. Did you guys try Morpheus or Oculus Rift at E3?
I did not, because I wasn't waiting in that long line to try it.
Oh, you should have gone upstairs to the Euro press room. Gary knows. He saw it. A short line upstairs.
Now, Gary tried it?
I didn't try it, but I know you tried it, Austin.
I did.
What was your
and it was like, it was weighted. There was no peripheral vision. And I know it can enhance, but to me, the more I put on myself, the further away from the experience I become. If I have to put on a power glove, it is a constant reminder that I am not in that world that I am experiencing.
You don't have that when you're holding a controller?
But why do you have to be in that?
I'm not saying you have to for all games, but I'm saying some games that we play now and some games that they would conceptualize afterward would probably benefit from that. That's my point. I'm not saying I want controller gaming to go away. No. When you innovate, you don't have to throw the old way away. I just want more options. I don't like that there's not more options now.
It becomes automatic when it comes to controller. The button layout's really been the same for the last 3 generations. For me, it's synonymous. For me, it's one thing in my hands. It's one gesture. I'm not having to fling around like I'm having an epileptic attack. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no!
I think he was just shocked that you said what you said.
Oh no! I'm saying that I have seen people kind of watch 3D or play VR, and they do they kind of have these responses. There are individuals who don't react well to VR, and that's another thing. There are people who just can't do 3D. That makes the entertainment all more niche.
I mean, that's true, but there's people who can't play. There's people who can't play games on controller now. We still play games on controller. You can't. The world can't be decided by what some people can and can't do. You have to do what you can. And VR would open up gaming for a lot of people too. There are people who don't have hands. There are people who might have issues or injuries with their limbs that they can't just play games that way on a controller. VR would make games more accessible for them. for a game that's genre or not genre, that's like plot driven or something like that, or exploration driven, where they don't have to worry about remembering where buttons are, or they literally can't move their fingers that well. VR would open up gaming for them.
That is true. I mean, it's a question of interface.
I mean, I'm not saying that like innovation or I'm not saying VR or Connect or innovation period don't have cons, especially in the beginning. Whenever you start something from the beginning, it's always going to be the roughest. It's always going to be hard to get software for Connect in the beginning. The software from Connect isn't always going to be top notch. But I mean, how do you get good at something without doing it? You have to keep doing it. That's how you improve.
Yeah.
And I just don't know why we're at a point in gaming where it's like everyone's like, "No, man, let's just stick to what we're doing." I'm like, maybe it's because I'm getting old now, but I'm starting to get bored. I don't want to play these games the same way all the time anymore. I don't want to play the same genres of games. Where are the new how many hybrid games can we think of? Mass Effect 1, Borderlands. I'm at a loss. That's about it. Persona.
I wish we had a longer time, because I feel like we're getting to the point where we're wrapping up. I wish we had a longer time, because there's something you brought up a couple times I'd like to ask you about, but I think we've almost closed.
Yeah, I would like to say, let's save that topic for the next time, but I do want to close with this before I give you guys a close. I say, I agree. I like motion games. I'm all for virtual reality. But if I play a game and I can actually get shot, oh, hell no, I don't want that shit.
I'm not. I don't.
Yeah, no, we ain't trying to get shot.
I already have a response for that, man. I don't know what to say.
So on that note, I don't know if you guys have any closing statements for this week.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, just to add on to that last topic before we close out, the controller and the keyboard and mouse, I guess, as well, is where gaming all started, and I don't think anybody should try and reinvent the wheel, and anything that does try and reinvent the wheel is just going to end up being a gimmick, because the controller and the keyboard and mouse is synonymous with gaming itself, so I don't think those are going to go away anytime soon. So that's all I had to say about that.
Any other statements? Are y'all good?
I will say that in response to that, I don't believe that. You gotta remember, gaming originally was on a computer. The original way you played a game was not with a controller. You were originally playing it on a keyboard and mouse, technically a keyboard. Then people started making these consoles with like controllers. There was a time when controllers were a new way to interact with games. It was a new form, and people thought, well, that's a gimmick. Why would I buy a controller when I can just play on a keyboard? And then fast forward to now, and everyone, like, the controller is pretty much standard. People use controllers even on their PC. It's like there's nothing wrong with reinventing the wheel. If people didn't try reinventing the wheel, we wouldn't have airplanes. People would just use boats and cars to get everywhere. But someone figured, well, why not just use airplanes to travel these great distances faster? It's technically a reinvention of the wheel, and it's one that we kind of depend on now. And I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that you always need to do something new just for the sake of it, like of just trying something new. But I'm saying, like, there's got to be something said to redundancy. If you keep doing the same thing the same way over and over again, after a while, it's kind of like, all right, dude, like, mix it up a little bit. I'm not saying throw controllers away and keyboard and mouse away. Never. I play games. I've enjoyed games. I'm just saying, when I'm looking at all the new games that I'm looking forward to, and I'm realizing half of them are already established IPs, and the other half are just new IPs that do the same thing that those other older IPs did.
Uh-oh.
So what am I really doing? Like, there's nothing new. I'm buying new hardware to play old games the same old way.
Yeah.
Like, when I think of it that way, it bothers me.
It's a shame we don't have much longer, because that definitely opens up a different conversation point.
Yeah.
I think the one common denominator, though, to kind of piggyback on what Gary said, is the one thing we've always had, be it a joystick, keyboard, or controller, is buttons. That's the one thing we've always had. And I think you talk about a keyboard, I'm pretty sure a lot of these games on PC really use a couple core keys, and that's about it. I don't think a controller was an evolution of that. I think, if anything, it was a simulation.
And,
I mean, you're right. You're right.
and Charles has anything to add? Are you all set?
Yeah, I just agree with what Austin said. I don't think like going from keyboard to controller wasn't a reinventing the wheel. It was just improving it. I think that the VR movement, like, I just don't see it. Like, I'm all about innovation. I definitely understand you. I know where innovation it starts, and it's gonna seem off, but I don't imagine this working well in any iteration. Not as a mainstay. I think you just need. I think if there were more innovation in the games themselves, the games that you were playing in new IPs, I don't even think this conversation would be had. I think you'd be happy with it, and you'd see that as more of a gimmick, but you're leaning on that for more innovation. So that's all I've got to say.
I don't know why you guys hate gimmicks so much. Or maybe you guys are just misusing
No, we
them.
don't hate gimmicks. We just recognize them as gimmicks.
I
Rose by name.
don't see motion gaming as a gimmick. A gimmick to me is something you do just for the purpose of sales. You don't have any ulterior motive behind it. And I don't think Nintendo did what they did with the Wii as a gimmick. Because they seem to have stuck with it, even with the Wii U that isn't selling that well. Motion gaming is still built into that system.
But,
So I don't.
But
It's even built into the 3DS. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, it actually is built into the 3DS. So
I think there's a difference between gyro aiming and the wiggle and the waggle of the.
But I mean, that's still motion gaming, though. You can move the three. There's games that when you move the 3DS, you can aim at stuff and shoot.
they
or
took
take pictures.
you gotta admit they took a step back, man.
Well, and the DualShock 3 and 4 have been also about motion gaming.
I don't disagree with that. I do agree with that, actually. It's just that when you know what happened? They came out with that really, really horrible game. I mean, really good PS3 game, Lair, and people thought, wow, this controls. Okay, I can't even troll. It was really bad, and the controls were terrible. And people thought, well, yeah, I don't want to play this anymore because this one game is bad. I'm like, well, it's the first game. Of course, it wasn't that good. They are just now doing this. Like, give them time with it. Did anyone play Metroid on the original Wii? The shooter, the multiplayer, or the one on the original DS as well, the original shooter. Like, they played amazing, even with motion controls, and it didn't play like it did on the like in the older Zelda Metroids where you use the thumbstick to aim. It was way more responsive, and they designed levels around that. So that's what I'm like. I don't know. I respect you guys wanting to stay with controller or whatever. I'm not saying I don't want to use controllers or fight sticks or anything to play. I just don't want that to be the only way I want to play. I can play. I want new ways to play. I want new ways for other people who don't game now to play. I want people who may be old, elderly, or like trauma war veterans who can't physically play games with a controller to have a way to interact with games. And I don't think gaming is going to continue to expand until we do that. And for some reason, gaming doesn't want to.
I mean, I can respect that and I understand that, and I hate the way that this is going to sound. It's really going to sound terrible, but I feel like I need to say it. I think sometimes not all individuals can enjoy all experiences. I would love for my blind friend to see a movie, but unfortunately, he just can't.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we got to be getting ready to go for this week. A few people have some places to be. So I would like to thank you, Austin, Charles, and of course Michael Lay for being on the show. We will definitely continue this conversation on the next show. So thank the listeners and enjoy your 4th of July weekend.
Oh yeah, tomorrow is the 4th of July.
Yes.
Enjoy some fireworks and some cooking.
Honest, I'm Nigerian. I've never cared.
All right. Peace out.
Peace.
Adios.
Are you guys gonna play 50 Cent music to this since Gary admitted to playing Blood in the Sand earlier?
Oh
Probably.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.